And I'm gonna tell you something, this pimping that I got in my blood, it came from a family tree. My granddaddy was a pimp. My great-great-great-granddaddy was a pimp. I'm talking about pimping since pimping.
Hey. Let's go. Saturday morning now, I'm yawning, brushing my teeth. Cooking me something, pouring coffee, rolling the leaf. Half sheaf, rising the gram, make it complete. Yeah, fell asleep. By slim, thick and petite, tight freak that I met at dispensary last week. No a beat, hands all in the ass sheet. Can't find a chick in this world I can't seek. When they hide, I provide the dick in the back seat. When I glide 35, a custom the bag heat. Falling on these niggas, they checking the stash sheets. Coming home with my niggas, I'm jamming some Max B. Headed back to Texas, I'm getting it tax free. Actually, chick wanna massage and relax me. My soul and wrist and that chi, all in one in the pot of some shrooms and that tea. And tell me how you feel, baby. Gonna keep it real, baby. Ooh. I go and get it. Hit her with the gavel shit, I might hit a cold offended. Niggas is so relentless, I pass the blunt underhanded. More with the tabletop, the shit that I took for granted. No for supplanting this pimpin', all in the hippocampus. Know they gon' spell the branches, soon as I leave the campus. Shout out to my sister, yeah, she cheerleading for the Panthers. Invite me to all the parties, these bitches be throwing panties. Sharing red 11s on my feet, I was coming handy. The blunt is like a pinata, you know that it's filled with candy. Carter get probably sorry, the color with dirty salmon, I'm from the dirty. I know they heard me, they understand it, it's overstated. When we pass the green, it be all organic, it's automatic. When we locking eyes, it gets so romantic. So take a stroll and get the hell up out of here. And tell me how you feel, baby, gonna keep it real, baby. Ooh. Talk to me, girl. I can handle it, I swear.
I'm gonna tell you something, this pimping that I got in my blood, it came from a family tree. My granddaddy was a pimp. My great-great-great-granddaddy was a pimp. I'm talking about pimping since pimping.
For Dr. Ben. My hotel. Miracle. AKA Almonte.
All the lies you've been told, baby, let me set you straight. What we did back then was great. You just don't know. Let me show you the past so your future can look bright. Help you walk into the light, cause you see yourself. I've heard them say that we wasn't even there. Baby, let me make this clear. We were the ones. If you pay attention to what I'm about to show, there's no doubt that you will know. Show you Nefertari was said she was black because that's the way that my man would show you. Egypt was a black land, King Tut was a black man. Cause that's the way that my man is now. Whence we came from the southern land, so I know they think that we forgot. From the horn and the west, these black people made their way. See them coming for Friday, and there we are. As above, so below, this is how they built in stone. We have never been alone, this is the truth. If you can't see yourself, then it's true you've been misled. Got them lies all in your head, let me help you. And I'ma show you Nefertari was said she was black because that's the way that my man would show you. Egypt was a black man, King Tut was a black man. Cause that's the way that my man would show you. Our history, it ain't no mystery. Just listen and you'll understand and show you. that Egypt was a black man. Lately I've been thinking of days gone by. You know the things that we forgot. Voices from the distant past make themselves heard. Resurrecting something now that you've been revealed. Tell me what you gonna do. Gonna keep it to yourself or gonna tell the world? If you do, then prepare for the challenges you face. My heart goes out to you, precious black boys and I'ma show you. Nefertari would've said she was black because that's the way that my man, I'ma show you. Egypt was a black man, King Tut was a black man. Cause that's the way that my man, I'ma show you. Our history, it ain't no mystery. Just listen and you'll understand. I'ma show you what they can't hide, what they can't deny. That Egypt was a black man. 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 Egypt was a black man.
For Dr. Bill. Mahotep. Miracle. AK.
The children are used for things to make money for them. But in the meantime, they have to justify that that child is superior to a black child and this child and that child. And there comes the thing of division. But then you turn around, the European child is superior to the mulatto child. So it's like a pyramid. It's a pyramid scheme of a fictitious thing that always ends up in class. They're only doing it for materialism, you know. And but at the same time, what's sad in it is that these people that are doing all this know that they're doing it just to become rich, but they have to indoctrinate their people to make them believe that this shit's real. So then you get people, white people, who begin thinking like that, you know, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And like what Truce was saying about like abandoning, how can I say, what he says, it was something about basically denying this thing of race, right? And when we have to get out of race, I agree. Like I don't agree with race. I know that people use the terms, and it's like the only way people are going to,
even if the end goal is to get to that ideal colorblind society, it can't be at a snap of a finger.
It can't be, and it won't be.
Because for us to get to the point we got now with the systemic and systematic racism we see, it wasn't a snap of the finger. It was a step-by-step process. It was gradual. So the repair and the restoration away from that toward that end goal, right? It has to be step by step, right? We can't just wake up. We can't just wake up tomorrow and say, okay, we live in a colorblind society now.
Yeah,
it can't be that way.
I think once people like me, even though I don't agree with it, I'm not going to say I'm colorblind, because when I look at all of you, it's evidently you guys all look different, right? And these people look different. So there's a complexion, you know, there is tones of complexions. But like when people start to just be like, I'm colorblind.
And that's why I was trying to be fair, Cuban, where I pointed out how both some capitalists and some communists on different sides of ideologies on both sides, how they both do that in their own way, right? How the capitalists, you know, some capitalists will try to act like they're colorblind because they only see markets and competition and wealth building, and how everyone has an equal opportunity to move up the ladder or take place in wealth building, right? And they'll say, no matter what your race is, you can participate in this capitalistic structure, right? And then on the other end, with communists, some of them, right, they're like, we need to remove all of these divisive identities and labels we place on ourselves, including race, right? Because the real issue is class, right? And I'm not saying every capitalist thinks like that, or every communist or socialist thinks like that, but the ones who do think like that, a lot of times they tend to be white, right? They tend to be white, and they have ulterior motives to not actually restore the damages, even the Department of Justice, our Ivy League institutions, some of our greatest sociologists, political scientists, and psychologists have all acknowledged exists. The systemic and systematic racism that has existed and continues to prevail, right? For us to ignore that, that is problematic. And I also don't feel like class, you're correct. Class, in terms of how it's been arranged here in the United States since its inception, it has always been driven and powered by some racial implications. I agree with that. But class in general, globally, is not always tied directly to race.
It's not.
Because
Hey, shout out to my brother Mujazi, man. I see you in here, Mujazi. Shout out to you, brother. Long time no hear from.
I know, brother. It's good to see your voice, man. Hear your voice, man. I just gave you a shout out earlier. It's good. I'm hoping you still building America, one building at a time, champ.
Absolutely. Actually, 5 buildings at a time, but I'm
just pop your collar real quick, champ. Pop your collar.
One time. Absolutely. No, peace to you, though, brother. Hopefully you're doing well, man.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Thank you. Sorry about that, Malcolm. Go ahead, champ.
Good. What's up, Corey? By the way. Yeah, I was gonna say just some examples I could think of off the top of my head in like pre-colonial Africa, right? Like ancient Egypt, absolutely had classes, a class system, right? That was tied to like both economic and social standing. Typically in pre-colonial Africa, right? Like your social and economic class intertwined, right? Also, obviously like the Mali Empire would have had a class system for sure. The Kingdom of Ghana, right? Like, so we have examples of like civilizations in pre-colonial Africa that absolutely would have had a class system. And obviously, for the most part, it wouldn't have been based around race. It would have been based around what kind of work you did, your spiritual belief, how much money and wealth you had, right? What family you belonged to, things like that. So I do see a world where I do see a pathway where class can still be involved, where you remove race from these class structures. But I would be a fool to deny that the class structure we have here in America is tied to race. Like the class system that was built here absolutely was tied to race. But it is not impossible to conceptualize a class structure that removes race, because we've seen it in Africa.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with you. Like when I make that statement, like for me, I'm talking about South Central America, the Caribbean, North America, England. But when you talk about other places, I totally agree with you, because if you have a group of people that pretty much look the same, it breaks into something else, and it's not this thing of race. Like that's factual. That's very factual.
But what's up, y'all? How's everyone back quiet? How's everyone doing today?
No, that was all facts. That was all facts. I'm gonna explore that more. I don't have time today, but I'm gonna pick that back up because I know from what you're explaining, Cuban. You know, that's what me and you align with. That you know, we can see. Almost everybody here can see the cross analysis between how class, race, and even sex, when you bring in sex into the picture, and how these constructed realities into the categorization of how America tends to align and create demographic realities of people. It does intertwine with each other, almost kind of like in a pyramid codependency. But there's some realities that have been codified into law that may intangibly connect to class, but they were racialized movements put into legislation that had very little to do with the capital structure of the colonies, but everything to do with how folks at that time viewed the racialization and their social connection to the world. Like, for instance, if you think about 1662, where Virginia legislated that any child born from an African woman, African descendant woman, was to inherit the status of permanent servitude, permanent slavery. That you can probably draw some inferences in the Virginia Assembly, how that might be related to the economy of the colony, but it was very much situated within the racialization of the group of people, if that makes sense, if I'm being clear. And so it had more to do with making sure that it constructs the position of where Africans were in Virginia, as opposed to their position to the labor and the contract piece in that respect. It does and it doesn't. Or if you look at the miscegenation laws in 1691, where you had so many white men jumping on the bodies of Black women that they had to codify and try to orchestrate the relationship and control of white men's, prerogatives with Black women. And that was more racialization, because it was a lot of what they called mulatto babies coming out there that they didn't know how to codify into their existence, or whether or not they were inheriting certain statuses of the father versus the mother. And so it's those type of things where you see the existence of race being the predominant factor, where it may not directly or indirectly be tied to class. That's just some of the things that I'm seeing scholarship tends to argue on. When I push forward and say that there's a DNA interdependence between class and race, they'll push back with certain things like that. And that's what I'm just bringing into the conversation. But it deserves more exploration.
But see, like me personally, like I don't, and it's not because you're Mujasi and I like you, but something like that, I wouldn't find, offensive somebody saying that. Like, we have our differences, but it's like that's not something. Even if it wasn't somebody else in here, like I wouldn't go back and forth with you on it, because look at the things on the topic we agree with.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Just pick at that. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. No, I was
I'm going to think about it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm having.
There's no fear. Stop instigating. Stop instigating nothing. No, no. Absolutely. That's right. That's right. Well, part of that, Brass, is that me and Cuban has had this conversation off record. Like we've talked about this thoroughly. Yeah, yeah. So we know where we agree on each other at. And I was elevating that because that's why I led with I 100% agree with him. I just picked up something, I want to say a month ago. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Orlando Patterson or if it was an article that I found online, but they were arguing from the position that you can construct an interpretation of early America and the developing of the Constitution from a pure racialized perspective that disaggregates class from the analysis. And that was interesting to me because for me, I couldn't see how they could make the argument. Yeah, I'll see if I could find it. Yeah, I'll see if I could find it. Because it was either, I don't know if it was Orlando Patterson or if it was an article that it was like a month ago. Let me unearth that and I'll put that also in the Discord because I want to see how they made that argument and see if there's something that we can unfold from that.
Thunder ain't say that shit. We live? We live? Oh, peace.
Yes,
What's up,
sir.
everybody?
Ain't no way
on,
Thunder said that shit, bro. Ain't no way.
Yeah,
I think when you look at Thunder and some of his positions, it kind of tells me that it takes years of this system kind of like wearing down on us to produce a Thunder, right? So like if anything, you could look at a statement like that and recognize how perilous some of our circumstances no more. You feel me?
That's right.
Like
That's right.
we might have so many Thunders in our midst that we never even we never get back to a damn W.E.B. Du Bois or something. You know what I'm saying?
So many Thunders
And,
sound so funny.
that's exactly what I alluded to in the show. And even Chef beat me to the punch yesterday with the rabid dog syndrome he was talking about yesterday. And I know people love to talk about how it's a fraudulent document, but the Willie Lynch letter, it talks about this. It talks about producing people like that. Now you can, all right, it's a fabricated document, but somebody wrote that and came up with the psychology and prediction to describe something we see behaviorally with Black men and some Black women today, right? It describes exactly what Chef described as rabid dog syndrome, to where white people can just sit back, kick their feet up, and they're going to have a bunch of guard dogs defending their most staunch positions they don't even hold anymore. That's the great. They don't even hold a lot of the positions some of these characters are advocating for. Things like saying we need to be policed. So he said we need to be policed more. That we're under policed.
Like, and it covers such a wide range of a person's psyche, right? Like everything from scientific racism to social inequality, right? Like it covers such a broad range, and you can get swept up in it in any one of these turns unknowingly, right? Like that could be the real dangers, that you might co-opt some of these Eurocentric ideas and not and not be in like full contradiction to like your worldview. You know what I'm saying? Like it could pose some challenges out here.
Absolutely,
I would like to say, thanks. Hello, everybody. I know I haven't been on a platform for a while. I've been working on a couple of projects and papers, right? That's what I do.
Papers. And shout out to you, brother Reggie. Thanks for the cash.
What's up, Reggie?
I appreciate that.
Hey, brother Reggie.
Good looking out, bro.
You have to peace, Sergeant. So what you have to do is, okay, post Louisiana versus Callius. This is a very important turning point. So of a lot of the things that have thought about and written in the past, this has come to being in the time expected, with the Supreme Court to do justice to justice. We have to have an answer for it. And I've been taking among other things that I've been doing, I've written a paper on post Callius. What you've been talking about is this has been going on for a long time.
Absolutely.
Me studying, I had debated the Moors, right? When I debated the Moors, that was 10 years ago. I detected something, and when I was doing that research, and just to real fast forward and get it over with, the Noble Drew Ali's Moorish Science Temple of America, as it became, what they did is they romanticized the Moors. And if you study the Moorish history, it's a group of people who took on a foreign belief system, North Africans, and then those North Africans participated into slavery, ultimately beginning to enslave Black people for the Arabs, for the Arab culture, right? In that version of Islam. And then the whole thing about being a Muslim at that time period was to escape slavery. If you wasn't a Muslim, you would be enslaved. If you became a Muslim, any type of Muslim, you would be protected, until the Moors now broke that and began to enslave African people, and it turned into the trans-Saharan slave trade. And then their situation in Spain and Portugal, or Al-Andalus, then they brought the Europeans into benefit from slavery. And so that ultimately turned into the transatlantic slave trade. And then, of course, in the transatlantic slave, then we have Europeans now with their Christianity, tweaking their Christianity to enslave. So on top of all of this stuff is religion. It's religion, and it's codified in the Bible, and then it's codified not in the Quran, but in the practices of Islam. So post Callius or Callius, what it has made a turn, and it started before that with the reparations suit with Posner, right, against Didger Farmer Pellman's reparations, where they in that they codified a harm against your ancestors is not a harm against you. That was the beginning of this. This is the beginning of Callius. And then Judge Thomas and Alito and the rest of them with this race neutral. So the language is, anytime that you start talking about harm to ancestors, it's going to be attacked by equal protection advocates and suits, right? You can't talk about a harm to your ancestors. Now, Ogletree, he wrote something that I have been using for the last 12 years. Huh? What's Sheffrin?
My bad. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Charles Ogletree wrote, when he was writing about reparations, he he analyzed it, and he actually predicted a Callias, and his defense was to create something called harm based. He used reparations because they were talking about it at the time, but a harm based analysis. If you what Callias does not do is that it does not take away protections against harm. It take what it does is it attacks language, right? Like it attacks black, it attack the ancestry, it attacks any of those words, it not minority per se, but minority as if you're black. It attacks that. So then what is the path forward? Because now we're in a situation where the chickens come home to roost, right? On us, right? That our language of black this, black that, minority this, minority that, ancestry this, ancestry that. Now it fails in this new post 2026. So the question is what is the new language that we can use so that we could, with a shield, stop equal protection, equal protection people who use these race things as a sword and shield. What they would do is they would say, use the sword against anything that ever happened to us in the past, and a sword to protect anything going forward for our people. So when we're having a show like this, it has to be informative and helpful into what we're going to face. Now, people like Thunder, and his thing about black people hate each other and white people love each other is immediately false, because the history of white people in history doesn't show this at all. Shows a warmongering group, shows Rome and a whole bunch of in Christian and when Rome took over the Christian church and then their complicity in the slave trade. So that can't be, and so his lack of history fails. But I don't want to deal with that because I think that that's a trap, and I'll listen to him, but it's a waste of time given the history. So I don't want to turn the show, but I am going to say is that we have to post 2026, our language and our solutions have to change. Our thinking has to change, because now we have Louisiana versus Callias, the Supreme Court decision, and that is codified in American law. That's like the Virginia slave laws. It's codified, and it's hard to break. So, Posner said in the reparations case, a harm to your ancestors is not a harm to you, right? And then the Callias says that I'm going to get rid of Section 2 because you have to show intentional discrimination, and we have to have an answer for that. So ultimately, that maybe not today, but I do think about is what is the answer, and I may do a show. I may do several shows. I may do a show on Black News 102 on it. I don't think I'm gonna get a lot of views there, even though it's a big channel. And the people that's there, the audience, they're not sophisticated. You are more sophisticated, right? We have people here that are very sophisticated. They can smell bullshit, right? In a sense, right? So not trying to change what you're talking about, but when we're arguing race and things like that right now, post Callias, that doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. It's a reality that's just hitting us.
Well, you're right. You're right. I just wanted to add, maybe oversimplified on purpose just to get the dialogue going, but But technically, isn't it just as simple? Isn't it just as simple as getting people with integrity in position to deal with those type of things? And at the end of the day, isn't that technically all you have?
Yeah, but they have to use different rules. It's a paradigm shift. Paradigm is a set of rules, written or unwritten, that you use to solve problems and look forward to the future.
Well, I might be looking beyond the rules when I say just a person with integrity, because I mean the rules aren't really keeping what you're talking about going now, right? Like it's actually somebody just willing to break the rules as far as like why things might actually be going in this direction. So that's why I just simply said a person with integrity in the right position.
Well, I
They
don't
could
disagree.
have integrity, enough integrity to realize that the rules are wrong and change the rules.
I don't disagree with you directly, but you did simplify it. The fact of the matter is, once you have Louisiana versus Callias, you have a rule that is part of American law, right? So, so the people who are going to solve this problem, or people who are going to create new rules within the current rule. So they're not going to be breaking them. What they're going to be doing is adjusting the rules, using what we have to use is the law in the United States. We can't avoid that. We can't avoid that. We have to be within law and create new rules that fix some problems.
Right. And that would put us almost full circle right back in the same position we're at now, wouldn't it? At the end of the day, because the rules or people claiming to play by the rules is exactly how we kind of got in this position in the first place.
Well, the rules has always been in the United States, according to Black people, it has been creating laws, right? Acts, laws, and conditions, rules, right? And hiding the racist intent within those rules. Now, certainly they've come up with this thing of basically race neutral, right? And they're finding people with integrity. The laws make the people with integrity the lawbreakers. You speak about this war, you're treason. The President of the United States has called reporters reporting about casualties, rule breakers, treasons, people people involved in treason, reporters. Your right of free speech has been how can I say is under watch at this particular point. So I don't disagree. Again, I'm doing with Brass and Malik and this whole earlier conversation. I don't have to disagree with you completely, but but what I'm saying is the without playing with words, then the question is, I mean, not so much integrity, but knowledge of the situation and wanting to come up with solutions to fix it. So so otherwise, what if we just leave it with people with integrity, we won't get a plan. What we won't get a plan. What we need is an understanding of what exactly happened, which I think that you've covered on this show earlier. What exactly happened during that case, and what now is after the bomb has been dropped, right? What do you do now? And maybe not now, but at another point, I'll continue listening to what you have to say. But I do want you to know that a bomb has been dropped. A nuclear bomb has been dropped in America. And it gives people like Thunder much more during the cleanup. He's picking up the bodies, right? He's picking up the bodies happily and furthering something that is going to damage us. And so the question is, what is the answer to that? Right? What ultimately is the answer, the plan? Otherwise, it's just about picking up the bodies and lining up new bodies. I'll stop.
Well, I mean, you know, Thunder makes a part of what happens in this community very valid, right? Whether he's doing it for fun or whatever he's doing, Thunder's my guy. I like talking to Thunder, but he says some crazy stuff, and we'll all agree to that. But what he shows is that there are some cultural things, right? Like he would make it seem as though Black people have failed at producing a particular mindset or character in their community, right? And with Thunder actually having some sway or being, you know, having some weight in his community, it personifies it, right? So it'd be one thing if it was just somebody who didn't have the ability to affect others, and then you got somebody like a Thunder with the ability to affect them, and he takes on this position is where the black magic starts happening, right? That's when the bullshit starts happening, right? When you actually get somebody, you know, like a Thunder, and he got enough money to buy a bullhorn and let other people hear that crazy ass shit, right? But it'd be different if he was just on the island talking crazy, but he's actually like a part, you know, a person who's vocal in his community and has a presence there. So it's a little bit of a difference to me. You know what I'm saying? Not trying to.
How do you break it?
Again, all I said was he makes that argument that y'all make about that cultural rebirth. He gives light to that. I'll put it to you like that. But there's no one stream answer. You know, that's I feel like we've actually figured this out a while back. Like there is no hey, let's just focus on this and everything else will work. Nah, you can't do it. And we figured that out when we were having the W.E.B. Du Bois and George Washington, in Garvey conversation. We were talking about how one of them said higher education was going to be the best way to go, and another one said, nah, we need to master these trades. And when you examine either side of that argument, you realize you need both of them. That neither one of them independently actually solves the problem, and that you need both of them. So it's multifaceted. We do gotta pay some more attention to our behavior in our community. We do gotta pay more attention to politics and be more proactive and reactive. Like we gotta do all of that. Like it is a part of it.
But here's the thing. So there's in this warfare, there's sword and a shield. The sword is that the people of America, the government of America, from the time of slavery, has been disenfranchising our people, right? And then when we fight back, they use the Equal Protection Clause against us, and then people like Thunder and them will embrace whatever the American law is, right? Whatever the American law is, whether right or wrong, and embrace it. The question is, so they have imported the drugs in our community. They have imported the guns in our community. They have let out some of the vilest people back into our community. Then when people are released from jail with their bad actions of new things that they've learned in jail, there's no protections for us on the ground when these people come back and do harm, continually do harm in this institutionalized racism in America. The Talia says that, well, you have to improve. Those things can happen, but you can't put it on us because that's not intentional. They're saying that that's not intentional discrimination, racism. We are hiding our hand. We are hiding our hand when we are attacking Black America, right? And then we're going to defend what we do with the equal protection clause, right? You can't racially be uh uh, uh you can't have any racial standing. You can't have any ancestral standing. They basically took the history of Black America and put it in the garbage can when it comes to what has happened, right? So the thinking is, what do you do with that? What you don't, we can't use, showing intentional discrimination is very difficult. But what you can show is other things like retaliation, like harm base, and you can show that. Now, what the Supreme Court does in this case is it allows harm-based analysis if you read it correctly. It just doesn't allow race. So if you've read the case, then you see what it's attacking and what it's not attacking.
You know what?
So,
Can you still hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
No, go ahead. Finish your statement.
So the question is, what is it attacking? And have you read it?
No, I haven't checked
Have
it
you?
out. No, I haven't checked it out yet.
Okay, so anybody who has read it, what are they attacking? I guess it's not important. I think it's very important. But anybody who's read it knows what, in fact, they are attacking, right? And so I think that we need to do a better show. Yes. Right.
Right.
Okay, great. Yes, yes. Partly. So what else you can't, and what else, and to prevail, what do you have to show? To prevail that they're doing something wrong, what do you have to show? Intentional discrimination. Yeah. Right. So they put the
Right.
high burden of showing intentional discrimination, which is you actually have to have particular memos, laws, people doing so which you're not going to get, right? So that's a higher
Right.
burden.
Right.
So so if you can't show
Which to me is flat out dishonesty, right? That's flat out you not having integrity. Like I would assume a robot would make a mistake like that. Like maybe read something and take it so literal that it has no context, or
well,
that
that's
even the way that you may use a word and not even use like the word race, as if you can't use that in context to make things equal. Like just because you're using the word race doesn't necessarily mean that your following statement or following actions after that aren't geared towards equality. Right? Just because you have a racial reason for necessarily doing it, because I mean just that's just the environment that we in. You feel me? So like I feel as though if you have integrity, if you being honest, then you can make statements using race and still be talking about equality, right? See that's what I mean when I'm saying like Clarence Thomas, he isn't doing it with integrity, right? Like you can use the letter of the law to uphold like damn near either side of it, and he's choosing to act as if to kind of be ignorant to the
well,
fact
he's doing it's
of
status quo
what the
because
mission is here.
it's status quo because if you look at discrimination cases, the most discrimination cases fail because of the intent to discriminate has, can't be found. So the majority of discrimination cases in America, they fail because you actually have, if you don't have a smoking gun, a memo, a recording, right, that says they're doing it for race, right, their discrimination case is going to fail. So
Right,
discrimination
which is
case,
Yeah,
ridiculous.
but that's why that's the difference, as Brass was talking about, where we were discussing the difference between what's called systemic and what's called systematic, right? So when we're seeing outcomes and we're seeing the impact is disproportionately affecting a particular group, we
Right,
can we
right.
can argue and make the case that this is a systemic issue that disproportionately affected and produce outcomes that hurt a particular group or racial
you
group
and
in this
Brad are
instance.
correct.
So like
Well,
for an
right.
example,
Integrity integrity would tell
hold on,
you
hold on, hold on, hold on,
forget the
real quick,
intentions. Let's look at the outcome. Exactly.
real quick. So for example, some of the examples we showed that were deemed to be systemic racism was stop and frisk, right? Where, yes, they may not have said, like, from implementation from the beginning, that this is to target Black and Brown communities, but the outcomes and the results that it produced clearly pointed to a systemic issue, right? Same thing with Black farmers, and same thing when it came to redlining in 2024 with Ocean First Bank. And the Department of Justice determined that they were redlining Black communities. And that was a systemic issue, even if they couldn't prove the prior intent. So that would be the
So
difference
what's the
between
legal prong just for knowledge? So what is the instrument that they use to prove that? What's it called?
the instrument. I'm not gonna. I don't know. I don't know the instrument, but they would determine it to be systemic based off of outcomes.
Okay,
Right.
the instrument is called disparate impact.
Gotcha.
So that's the instrument that you use, and it's usually statistical. It's statistical with so-called race neutral policies. So disparate impact is to say that, okay, you say that you are not doing this because of race, but it is impacting people based on, well, it doesn't have to be race, based on some type of wrong as they do disparate impact. So, for example, in New York City, there was a case with firefighters who black firefighters, and they were called the Vulcan Society, and they was charging they was charging New York City with not hiring black firefighters, right, and treating them wrongly. They did a two-pronged case. One was race, right, and the other one was disparate impact. So they were able to fuse disparate impact with race to show that, in fact, it is based on your racial neutral so-called policy. The fact of the matter is wrong. The outcomes are being or racially has a racial connection to it. So all I just want to say is the instrument is called disparate impact, and that's how you break up the systemic race neutral policies that are in fact have
the supposed race neutral, right? Because they're supposing and alleging they're trying to be race neutral,
right.
But the results point to something otherwise.
Right. I have to write down some of the other cases that you said. So give me a second. So you said one second. So you said Ocean
First Bank, 2024. The Department of Justice deemed that they were redlining in the 21st century.
Okay, what is the other case? There was some other cases.
The black farmers. It was a USDA were denying them loans. They were denying them responding to some of the complaints and issues they were having. And this was nationally. It wasn't in one state or one area. USDA was deemed to be practicing systemic. They were having systemically racial practices. And they went further to say that not only was it systemically racial, that they can argue that it was systematic because of the. Oh, Brass, your mic. You got background noise, Mike. Brass. Oh, got you. All right. So yeah, they were arguing in the case for the black farmers that not only was it systemic, but you could argue that it's systematic because of the scale of it, because it was a nationwide issue and it was a repeated pattern of behavior. So it could even be argued to be systematic, because sometimes systemic issues can point to a larger systematic issue. So in the case of the USDA,
I remember. Yeah, I remember. I remember parts of that case. It was really interesting because the lawyer that was defending the black farmers, right? And what they did, they got even nastier. What they did was they didn't have. What they did, it got even nastier. What they did was somebody's mic is open.
I think your YouTube is open in the back, Brass. We can hear the reverb.
I think your.
Yep, go ahead, Reggie. Brother Reggie.
Yeah, it got nastier because then what they tried to do is attack the case and the lawyers by saying, okay, we're going to fine you a certain amount of dollars every day that you don't have all your statistics. So they made it even harder for them to defend the black farmers, right? They put them, it was like a kind of a contempt. It was kind of a contempt, and then they were fining them. But luckily, when the case was resolved, what they so-called fined them dissolved because of the amount of money that they in fact got. But to break that systemic that you're talking about, I have to read Ocean First Bank again. But thank you for that. But the only way that you can break that is they hide behind the shield and say that it's not intentional, and then they use in both those cases, even though I didn't read Ocean First Bank, they use disparate impact to show, in fact, that they were harming. So disparate impact goes to harm, right? And that's the
and exclusion, like to prove that it's systemic, right? Like, because just showing that there's a disparity alone isn't enough. You have to also prove the exclusion or the exclusionary practices. So, like in the case of like banking, like if you can prove that you had candidates of a particular group that had all of the qualifications, right? That another particular group you kept approving at mass, right? But for some odd reason, this group that had just as many qualifications or even more, you somehow are denying these people of the same opportunities. That is something that points to exclusionary practices,
and
right?
that's harm.
Which causes harm. Yes, which causes harms, because in the case of banking, it removes wealth building and economic security, right? So
when y'all get a chance, I was looking up through some papers. I apologize.
Yeah, no problem.
When y'all get a chance, since we discussed some cases, look up Griggs Duke.
Griggs Duke.
You said Griggs Duke?
Yeah, Griggs versus Duke Power.
Gotcha.
It's
Griggs.
Griggs, Griggs. Versus Duke Power. It's one of the cases that changed discrimination law. Y'all can look it up, get the exact information, right, all the particulars. But this is a conversation I had with Fetty or Mujasi. I forgot. It was about a couple months ago, actually. And we were talking about IQ tests, right? And Duke Power, I think it was in the 70s. Duke Power was, in order for you to work at the plant, they were giving IQ tests and high school diploma requirements. So at the time, they weren't saying that Black people couldn't have those jobs. And the requirements basically look somewhat race neutral. I think I had this conversation with Thunder too. But the applicants that failed at much higher rates were Black applicants. So they brought the case that if a rule is, and this is similar to what we were talking about yesterday, if a rule is neutral on paper, but if it heavily screws up one racial group, then it would be illegal. And this was, the Supreme Court actually said, yeah, it may not say race in the rule, but if I can look at the outcomes of you applying this policy at your job, if it affects one particular race heavily, then you're probably trying to be race neutral in the wording, but you understand that you're essentially saying you don't want as many Black people there. So what people before that time in the 70s, people were basically saying the racism had to be explicit. But the Supreme Court decided that the outcomes, Griggs' argument is that it's the outcomes that matter too. So it's I'm trying to play a little bit off Reggie for the chat also, to understand what we mean by intent versus outcomes. And one of the reasons why they not every disparity is quote unquote illegal, but the problem in the Griggs case was that the diploma, the company couldn't prove that the IQ test or the diploma made their workers better. So the only reason that you would have something like that is to create like a barrier. So that's a good case of, intent versus outcome. And that's when we had these conversations. I try to explain why it's dangerous. Sometimes even if race isn't even the conversation, the Supreme Court understands that even if the intent or the wording isn't racial, but if it creates a large racial disparity, sometimes we will go ahead and pause that as race. I hope I made that as clear as I possibly could.
Clear as a bell to me.
Absolutely. And anyone that acts like they don't understand that, they don't want to understand.
And
you were very clear.
And that is what breaks Thunder. See, you have to be a very sophisticated reader and read and understand law. So in those cases, you can look it up in Griggs versus Duke, right? It established that employment practices with a disparate impact, the instrument that I was talking about, on minorities or illegal under Title VII, if not job related, right? And the Black farmers is also disparate impact. Ocean First, I have to read more, but disparate impact is what breaks Thunder telling me. So Reggie, you think it's right for just black people to be able to have their own district, right? No, that's not what I'm talking about, Thunder, right? You're talking about somebody way more sophisticated that's actually been in federal court with my own case, right? And understanding my case versus other cases in federal court, and lost that case in federal court, but came to some type of agreement in state courts where New York City human rights laws helped me further, right? So another factor is New York City has something called the New York City human rights laws, and it doesn't parallel to the federal law, right? We have more rights than federal law in New York, not in other places. So it's important that these other states and counties and cities implement a human rights law, right? That is that would parallel what New York City is doing, because with New York City, all this intent and stuff doesn't. When it comes to employment law, which could be broadened, it doesn't have the same sting against federal law. So I took my case to federal court, and federal courts laws are not as liberal. They are very, very how can I say they are very general. So the court did not find in a situation that had something to do with me that what happened in my case did not meet the federal standards, but it did meet the city and state, the city requirements. And so I learned a very important lesson. So disparate impact is the instrument, and once we understand what it takes for you to understand this is to look up those cases, because again, it's the laws, right, or the rules. And in all these cases, they looked at the laws and they looked at the rules, and they found that they could defeat discriminatory intent with what Brass says so eloquently, the outcomes, right? So I guess one or two people laughed when I said I was trying to write a paper on this, as if
just chef.
Yeah,
it was just chef.
But it could be Chef and some other people. Well, speech is transient, writing is permanent, right? Writing puts together all your ideas so you can't shift. Speech you can shift and never and hide your hand, right? That's what Unc does. Unc is a shifter. He'll say one thing and then another thing and another thing. He's just using language. But when you write it, it's completely it shows exactly the intent of the person's mind as they write in their conclusions, right? When we argue these crazy concepts like science, whatever happened to the bullshit science argument? Where's that at?
Well, we left the conversation.
We killed it.
We just brought information. When you start saying things like Britannica's wrong and all of that, we had no more interest for the conversation. Then when you hire a scientist to come up there and somehow boost your point, and he tells you Newton is a scientist and also a nut, and then 10 minutes later you go back on the expert you somehow paid to then say Newton's just a nut, he's not a scientist, I realized that if the white man that you worship is not going to give you the if you're gonna fight somebody you pay to do your argument, then you're just fighting at this point. At this point, you're just gonna fight. I don't know where y'all at. I kind of saw it move to African science and somehow Arabian science. I don't know, but we're not it's a bridge too far, because now we can't present you handcuff a person when you tell them that I'm right and you can't listen to Britannica, Oxford, Cambridge, Stanford. You can't use ChatGPT, you can't use Merriam-Webster. And then on top of that, what that reinforces, and land my plane, what that reinforces, Reggie, is based on our theory, is that you just want these arguments brought to you to somehow make you the standard or make you the arbiter of truth, so that whatever you're now saying becomes what is the actual fact. You know, screw what you learned in school, screw what the actual sources are. And once you start doing that, it's not even fun, right? So all you can do at that point, Reggie, and that's where the contention was coming in. If we're not really going to be able to have that conversation, or if you thinking somehow you're somewhere up in the sky with your intelligence and us feeble people down here with degrees are the idiots, then y'all can have that conversation with yourself.
You're
I hope
lying.
that explains our point.
Your eyes are lying, and me with less credentials is going to tell people with credentials, right, with degrees, the truth. If just words, right, and just words, and I think Truist went back and read Ank's paper with Dr. Maat, right? And I read it, but I had forgot about it, right?
African science all through it.
Right, African science all through it, and Ankh signed his name to it. And that's right.
And his name is on it. It's hilarious.
His name is on it, right? And he's going to talk about science in the age of
it's the same paper he brags about having his name on a scientific peer-reviewed article, and that quote-unquote scientific peer-review article he's so proud of talks about science existing in Africa prior to the modern era. You know,
at the earliest ages, in the Bloomberg's cave and all of that stuff, right? Like that early, right? So, so that in itself was hilarious. But that's what happens when you are just gatekeeping and talking, and in this case, he wrote something, but it's the antithesis of his argument, right? But getting back to this point,
can I give you a good maybe to kind of not shift what we talking about, Reggie and Truist, or anybody else who wants to participate. You know the irony in this, though, right? So the irony in this is that devil's loop I like to talk about all the time. So just walk with me for a second. So somehow, in trying to make race less conscious, right? We're trying Griggs v. Duke, like we're Duke Power. We're trying to somehow make it in a way where we got to pay attention to these race neutral intents, and we have to pay attention to the outcomes.
Yes.
You know what ironically happens is now we begin to, in a world where, and I don't agree with Clarence Thomas's argument, but I do see what they're saying, because now what happens is when we're measuring these outcomes, we're now living in a world where we should be measuring and monitoring these outcomes all the time. But basically, if you're looking at the Constitution or a colorblind similar Constitution, if employers got to constantly ask, are Black people passing? How many whites got promoted? Are the numbers uneven? You know, could we get sued? We're now moving more to a society where it's more monitored. So the goal is the irony is we're trying to get away from some kind of race consciousness where people are being discriminated against and creating these disparate impacts. But in a sense, we're kind of moving more towards a place where we're more race conscious. So now we have to pay attention. And I think that's where we should be, right? But I'm saying, I think the goal of Griggs was to say, stop trying to stop us because of race and stop paying so much attention to making sure white people get these jobs, but somehow try to say, because like before you start getting civil rights law, y'all are familiar with civil rights law. Before civil rights law, racism was real explicit. Like it had to be very visceral and in your face. Yes. But after Griggs, now it's the racism can't hide in a neutral system. So now, like you can say on one hand, on our hand, Reggie or Truist, where we would agree that yes, you got to have a necessary vigilance about racism and constantly making sure that we're not creating disparities and new gaps. You know, another wealth gap or stretching the income gap. Now we're in a place where we kind of should be based off our actions. We're just constantly with this racial with racial engineering, where we're constantly trying to make sure what it is. You're building it where every institution is starting to have to think in racial categories. So the irony is, in trying to make it less race conscious, we're creating a society that's more race conscious, and it kind of both benefits us, right? Like, I'm about to end my rant. Right? I'm about to end my rant. Just give me a second. I'm about to end my rant. Hold on. I'm about to end it. I'm not gonna do quite a Corey rant, but I was trying to tell people there is beauty in what the Supreme Court did in Louisiana, Cali. There's some beauty in that, because we can't forget Dred Scott. We can't forget how cases like these that are so landmark, that's changed the lexicon so much. We can't forget even Shelby Holder, Dred Scott, Plessy Ferguson, Brown v. Board of Education. These are cases that changed the lexicon so much that it weaponizes people on the other side to go get the change for us. If you look at the Lochner decisions, when they had the job protection decisions, for those that don't know, just go look them up. The court was constantly striking down worker protections. But what happened was the backlash led to the New Deal reforms. So I know right now it seems hopeless and we sitting in this endless thing of, oh, it's terrible and the world is over. Remember that these horrible rulings historically over like a decade of time, you know, like Plessy versus Ferguson, the NAACP took that shit and ate that shit in half. And it led to Brown v. Board. So I'm not celebrating what happens. I'm glad we get to be a part of history. I wish it was a kinder history. But if you understand history, sometimes you got to let things play out. And some things have to happen in order. Plessy versus Ferguson has to happen in order for Brown v. Board of Education to happen, if this, in a short sentence. So I know, you know, I'm the conservative in the room. I get it. But I'm also I study politics more in a scientific way. I'm not a scientist or nothing, but I look at it as, okay, this is what we got, Louisiana, Cali. Now, somebody gonna get their ass out there to work. And we're gonna find something and they're gonna work hard, because you need these historical landmarks to create other historical landmarks. If that makes sense. I hope I didn't.
It does make sense.
For everybody else.
But I think what you said was a beautiful short recap, right? You listen, if you was a congressman, man, you'll be a powerful person, because then you could see what's going on. We, in this case, in our time, the fact is that it happened. The question is, what do we do about it to create the beauty of it out of the pain, right? And you can only do it if a certain group of your people have actually analyzed and studied what is going on and understand other cases. So you don't have to be a lawyer, but you definitely need to know about these cases, right? So it doesn't turn into this. Well, it is a devil's loop, right?
What's the question, please?
But wait, but how do you break the devil's loop, right? You break it with new rules, right? And usually in American law, the new rules come with cases. That's just what Brass eloquently said. So when you sit down and you start analyzing it, all of the cases that broke these things were disparate impact cases, which are also very expensive. Disparate impact. But we also live in an age where statistics could be, and analysis of statistics could be done more quickly with the tools that we have. So the collection of data, right, is important, is part of our society right now, right? But using the data for racial outcomes, that can be detected easily, right? In the age of AI, in the age of technology, right? So I think I'll stop. But I think, Brass, that was a very beautiful statement that you made, an analysis of bringing in. So I'm not.
Hey, Reggie.
Yeah, if I can
I ain't
ask
like
a question,
I ain't like the analysis. I ain't like that analysis though. I
heard,
even, I ain't even like the analogy, right? Because saying Plessy versus Ferguson led to
Brown
versus Boyd. That's like saying that the transatlantic slave trade led to the Emancipation Proclamation.
Give me and real quick. I just want to make a statement. Go directly to hell. Do not pass go. I don't know how the fuck
that's how I took that.
Yeah, I don't. Your brain is the craziest. Go ahead. I'm listening to you though. But I just want to know. I don't put my name on that.
Do anybody understand what I just said?
Go shampoo a bald-headed customer.
Yeah, like come on, Chef. Like, get the that ain't even fair, bro.
No, it
That's
might
not even
look, where am I fucking up at? Where am I fucking up at?
Because that's not even that's not an analogy that I would ever make because I don't think they correlate. I'm speaking specifically in precedent and court systems. You're talking about 400 years of slavery and the Emancipation Proclamation, bro. It's not even we're talking about court and law. I'm not talking about the slave trade, bro.
But that's not where the analogy breaks down at, right? Listen, it's saying what created separate but equal, right? If you say that the creation or the landmark case that created the separate but equal is what led to the Brown versus Boyd, a landmark case that overthrew it, you saying that the injustice or the fucked up thing led to the thing that
he's saying that it was cited in Boyd versus Brown versus Board of Topeka. The case.
Okay, I'm a back off.
Plessy versus Ferguson was cited in that case, right?
It would have to be cited because that's what led to the separate.
So then there is So that's what he's arguing. He's arguing legal conclusions. You're arguing some event stuff. He's not talking about that.
Okay.
You created a straw man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also not saying that the slave trade is justified, right? And I'm not going to say that. What I mean,
know you wasn't saying it.
No. I'll be more specific, Chef. What I'm saying is, when the NAACP, some cases in court are so heinous. So some decisions in the moment they're so heinous that I'll go to Lochner. they were striking down protections, and this is not just black, white, this is all Americans. They were striking down protections. Because now if you're saying black and white, I could kind of see what you mean. They were striking down protections for American workers. American workers were dying. The product was suffering. We were in the Great Depression, trying to get out of it. People, I mean, they were striking down work laws on an alarming rate. It spawned, the New Deal took that and saw that. And then that's how you get to something like the New Deal era reforms. So I'm saying in this particular case for the Voting Rights Act, look at the case that Louisiana presented. This is the beauty of law. Now, at a bare minimum, precedents work both ways. Sometimes you need a very fucked up, pardon my French, precedent on board, locked in, codified, so that they can't move the goalposts to some other shit and say this and say that and say this and say that. They gotta stay right there because everything that I have to fight is now codified. I can fight that. I can't fight when you saying this on Trump saying this and Thomas saying this and this other person saying this and the Republican Party saying this. I can't fight your words. But when you finally put your decision down, oh yeah, I can work. I could put money towards that. I could put a fight towards that. So at least it sticks a pin in it. And now Corey, I can fight that pin, if that makes sense, Chef. So I get what you were trying to say. That's not the analogy I meant, even if that's how I came off. If that's how I came off, I would never say that slave trade. I was speaking specifically in legal law and how lawyers and activists, specifically in Brown v. Board, how the NAACP and the books that they write about these things, how they will tell you how important it was that they had that landmark decision. They beat the hell out of Plessy versus Ferguson. And it was because the decision might have made sense at the time, but as society evolves, the Constitution evolves. It's a living document. So as it evolves in a future time, they could use that to beat it up to now get to Brown v. Board. But I respect what you mean, but that's not where I was going.
I'm gonna take. Hold on, I'm gonna take 10 seconds. Corey, are you on here? Can you hear me?
He building America.
All right. So, bro, this happens very little times, man, with me. But, bro, you had me laughing around about 5 this morning. I was laughing about when you said I'm a big black nigga, and I don't need to present myself as a what you say? As a threat to.
At 5 in the morning?
What you say?
5 o'clock?
Intimidating. Yeah, intimidating. No, I'm
see, and you know what? You just let me know.
You got 2 guns.
My rants actually do as my purpose. That's my purpose. To make you think about it, not in the moment. You don't need to think about it in the moment.
Think about it later. Yeah,
it's gonna come across. You're gonna be like, damn, that nigga was talking some shit. You know what I mean?
All right. I'm done, bro. That's all.
Yeah. So if I may ask a question, so I heard a conversation where someone made a point that what's going on today with the gutting of the Voting Rights Act has less to do with the elections in November and a lot more to do with what we're not paying attention to. It has a lot more to do with getting a 2/3 majority in the Congress in order to change the Constitution.
First off, who said that?
I don't know who it was. It was a clip online that I saw. But that was the argument being made, and I was wondering if there was any credence to this from what you guys know with regards to.
It was probably Cedric. It was probably Cedric or
Yeah, that's
No,
just
no. It's not someone. It's not someone affiliated with the conscious community at all. It's just let's just say let's just say it's just a question that I have. Is there any credence to that statement that the gutting of the Voting Rights Act is more about getting a 2/3 majority?
Somebody got to mute out whoever that is.
We about to redraw these maps and we about to take this bitch over. That's what the fuck we doing.
Your we pause is wild.
That's what we do.
Brother Thunder, I'm not looking for a troll answer. I'm rather looking for
what we're doing. I guess
and if it's just a bad question, then just say it's a bad question.
No,
I'm not in the mood for that right now. Brother Thunder.
I'm being serious. And you got to stop with your. I'm answering your question. You said, you asked a question, right? I'm answering your question. I'm saying it has nothing to do with 2/3 or nothing. What we're doing is taking our time. We're getting with, matter of fact, Georgia, just I think yesterday, he said he wasn't going to do it, but now he's about to redraw. So 90% of southern states about to redraw these districts. Right? And we about to add probably between 12 to 16 House seats to the Republican Party. That is what this is about. Not by no 2/3 and amending the Constitution, bro.
Okay, so let me give you a more technical answer though. Even if you get the 2/3 of Congress, right? It usually never works out that way when you try to do it. But even in changing anything with a formal amendment, you still need three-fourths of the states to ratify. So just trying to get 2/3 of the Congress would be kind of foolish, right? Because then the 3/4 of the states that's usually the part that's going to be difficult. Now here's the other part. If you were ever trying to think about, I wish Domo was here. If you were ever thinking about this in a way, Sunchild, on your own without seeing something online, it's more about a reinterpretation judicially, right? It's more like that. It's more like, because you don't always have to change the Constitution just by changing the wording. You know, segregation, abortion, federal power, and now voting rights. These things change without changing the wording of the Constitution. Sometimes you can create the pressure, right, for a future amendment, but for the most part, it's how can I put, like Reconstruction? Are you familiar with Reconstruction?
Yeah.
Okay. Reconstruction, before it, the Constitution essentially tolerated slavery. They then you get Dred Scott, then you get the Civil War, then you get some political shit, and then you get 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. So that would be like a complete damn near constitutional reset, but not in this particular case. This is just changing the meaning of the words of it without actually changing the words. So no, because the 2/3, they'll get the 2/3 if they're successful, but the 3/4 is something you'll never get. That's always the hang up, the 3/4 of states. I hope that answered your question technically, because I think Thunder thinks that he was in on a meeting before Louisiana Callus, and they called him and asked him what he thought, and they said, "Hey, this is what we trying to do," and they told some nigga in Georgia, apparently, that this is our plan. But this is rage baiting at its finest.
Okay, good.
And, hold on.
Can I get back in the conversation too?
Yes, Logic. Hold on, Thunder. Because speaking of that, real quick, Thunder, can I get a date for that show? We ready to give a date?
Probably next week, man. I'm busy.
Next week. Okay, there's 7 of them days in there. Which day?
Yeah, we'll work something out next week. But
I think you're gonna next week me to death. But I got
right.
He is
right
not
now.
doing that show.
Go ahead,
after what
Logic.
you just did.
No,
Let's get in there. Let Logic get in there.
Real quick, Logic. I just wanted to congratulate the brother Truist on a great show. That was excellent.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I got a question for the panel and anybody who wants to be able to give a good answer on it. It's a two-part question. Is the definition or the word justice used in law subjectively? And if it's not, is there an actual definition that we all should be running with? And is there somewhere in either the Constitution or something that obligates some of these decisions to be made on the grounds of justice, right? Like, as in, for instance, if you wanted to interpret a particular law, right, like its interpretation would have to have something to do with how it's being used to uphold justice, right? Is there some obligation like that, and is there a definition like that?
Well, I mean, that's subjective. Justice is subjective. Justice, in my opinion, is for them 4 dumb niggas who killed Julio Fulio. For them niggas.
Is there a legal definition?
Hey, let me ask you a question. You ain't got to say nothing. So justice is subjective.
When you doing,
I want them dumb niggas.
Logic, when you ask the question, just let them go, and we'll talk.
There you go. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, right. I want them dumb niggas who killed Julio Fulio, that's begging for their life, to suffer the same fate that he suffered. And I guarantee you, most of his family, if not all, agrees with that. But you will have some people who will say that justice is fair enough at being life in prison. So justice is subjective. So no, ain't no the Constitution it better not work like that.
So justice, in regards to the Constitution wants the government to establish justice. The issue is that when you have 2 separate parties and human beings, and like most other things in the world, when you add humans to it, it doesn't become cloudy, but it becomes discussed, because what justice means to you is different than what justice means to me, right? We have different worldviews. So you have substantive justice, but then you have procedural justice too. So procedural justice will have you say, are the rules being followed? And that's fair trial, due process, equal rules, right? So you'll have that. So like that's a form of justice. But then now we go back to what Brother Reggie was talking about with intent versus outcome. Did the outcome produce fairness or the justice that you're looking for? And and now that's where you start having these conversations of, well, listen, I'm trying to be fair. But if you're trying, I'm trying to make sure that there's a justice being invoked. But in the end, the justice word, like that's like, justice is that's a cartoon. So if the ends don't always justify the means, and when you start looking at the outcomes and results, you start asking, really the question is justice for who? And then you start looking for it. So I don't know if the fact that Thunder is agreeing with me, I should stop talking. But
I don't know what you're talking about right now. Just keep talking.
Okay, so because this is making me uncomfortable. But no, hold on. So I'm gonna use the voting rights case. So in the voting rights case logic, justice means government treats everybody identically, regardless of race. So that would be a form. That would be a part of the justice in that conversation.
Exactly.
But then, quoting
I think that's just called equality.
No. But hold on. But it doesn't make sense unless I say the second thing. I'm trying to give him ideas of how, because he used a specific word. So I'm trying to show him how each side or different people can use the word justice specifically, right? To say something different, because the other side logic will say justice means protecting the minorities from systems that exclude them. So, you see both sides are saying justice. And I agree with Chef. Both sides are saying equality means different on both. Like, it is subjective. So the second part of your question.
Justice.
Huh?
They mixing up equality and justice.
I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with that, and that's why constitutional law. Hold on. That's why. Hold on. But that's hold on. Hold on, Logic. But that's why. But that's why constitutional law is mainly philosophical, because they understand. They understand that they're both invoking justice. They're both evoking equality. It just means different things to them. If that makes sense.
Justice for black people is inequality for white people. That's justice for black people. So,
oh my God.
So when you looking at these maps, people, oh, maps. Listen, if black people voted the way they're supposed to vote, they shouldn't even have to worry about that. It's stupid. But
equality don't always mean justice, Thunder.
Say again.
Equality doesn't mean justice, though.
And justice is not always equality.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes.
I
think he agreed. I think he agreed with that.
Okay. I said justice in this case, right? I said justice in this case for black people is inequality. They want the scales to be swayed in their favor, which is inequality. That's what black people want right now. So no, justice and equality is not the same thing. Black people want inequality.
But if our society, if the harms in society right now are technically unequal, if we're living in a society that based in its structure, black people are facing inequality. You don't fix inequality all the time with looking for equality. Sometimes it's got to swing the complete opposite direction in order to address the harm. So, hold on, wait a second. So if the harm, this is the same conversation we was having yesterday about application and practice. You cannot, in a society, if everything is already equal, we can have an equal conversation because there is no disparate impact, like Brother Reggie is saying. There are no wealth gaps. There are no things that exist in society. So if we're in a society, right, and it's equal, and you just want to say, oh, well, we'll just keep the status quo, fine, bro. But if you got a people that are 400 years behind, systemically, structurally, economically, all these gaps, you cannot now all of a sudden, well, we just gonna keep it equal. No, fucker. You gotta address these goddamn gaps before we start talking about equal.
So you want
so Thunder. So if we're saying let's make this shit unequal the other goddamn way,
there you go.
To address these goddamn gaps, then maybe we can get to a point where it's fucking equal. I'm not saying it has to harm white people, but you might need to do some reparative action for black people to fix these fucking harms.
You are saying that you want these things to sway against, okay, those 24.
I specifically said I don't want it to hurt or harm someone else to benefit us. I specifically said that.
Without getting to the point where we don't have any conversations. So you want Tayana to conduct himself in a certain way.
Your microphone is fucked off.
Microphone.
No, it is. Listen to yourself on the show. It sounds bad.
You want
we cannot understand what the fuck you saying, Thunder. Stop talking. Fix your microphone and then talk forever.
Thunder did not address the fact that it was not equal from the start. He did not address that the leverage went to white systemic behavior in the New World, in America, right? It went that direction. So it wasn't equal. The slave laws showed that it was not equal. So we're not harming white people. We're looking for a level playing field, right? And you're not addressing the gaps that Brass eloquently noted, right?
I'm trying, but y'all couldn't hear me, Reggie. So
okay, no, we're gonna hear you now. Wait, first, answer this question. Was it equal from the start?
No.
Okay, great. So then how do we address the gaps? And I'll listen.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, yes, at the beginning of at the founding of the nation, the scales were slanted against us. I think everybody knows this. Dumb to have this conversation. At this point, the Supreme Court, along with local jurisdictions, local municipalities, are doing their best to not equal the playing field, but make this society a more perfect union and to establish equal opportunity for all, right? So we have equal rights acts. We got all these equal opportunity. We got all these equal opportunity employers. We got all these things in place. You cannot go to the extreme, not the extreme, but you can't say, hey, there's not enough black people in the airline industry, right? And say, okay, cool. Since there ain't enough black people, we're going to make a quota that's, we're going to go from 5% black people to 50% black people. Okay, good. Now, what did that do for those white people or Asian people or Hispanic people that qualify and they don't get it? Y'all say all the time, I ask y'all this all the time, I ask you, Reggie, and Brass, what do your feelings are about discrimination? Do you believe in discrimination? Are you a proponent for discrimination or against discrimination in all aspects of life? All of y'all usually answer the question, I am against discrimination. Most of the time y'all do. But when it comes to something that I would say, forces more equality, you all hate that because you think it's anti-black. Redistricting those maps is not anti-black. Matter of fact, from what I'm seeing in Tennessee, there's a white boy right now that's representing a district that could possibly be represented by a black female Republican. Right? This is right now during with these redistricting efforts. But nobody want to talk about that. I can't think of the guy's name, but he's a white boy, old ass white Republican can get replaced by a Democrat that get replaced by a black Republican. So to me, these arguments are not about black and white. It's about Democrat versus Republican.
Right.
I was looking
Okay, Thunder. So in terms of what you,
who the black people want.
Hold on, so let's just go.
Do you get that? You're saying just because there's a black candidate, right, that we should be no. The black people of that district don't want that motherfucking black Republican to represent them.
Good.
What's wrong with you?
So no problem. Now let's take what you just said.
All of this is a lie, though. Everything the way that he described the electoral system was a complete lie. There was nothing factual. He said this man just got up here and said that local government and federal government are doing everything they can to make things equitable.
What are you doing?
That man just said that local government and federal government is doing everything they can to make things equitable. When every policy that has been introduced since civil rights to make things equitable, they are getting rid of. Everything. I mean, because again, we can't just call out pseudos when we talking about Aboriginals. We can't just call out pseudos when we talking about Hebrew Israelites. Everything he said was completely made up.
Okay, hold on, Domo.
Because he said what?
Stop for a second. It's a fluid conversation also, bro. This isn't you go, I go, you go, I go. He just was he interjected for 30 seconds.
That's fine. I ain't tripping, bro. Let me land the plane and then y'all can move on. All right, no problem. So what I was saying was when we have different, it's not a black and white thing. It's a Republican Democrat thing. And we can have that debate or conversation as well. Add that to the to the docket, if you will.
So we can do in the first place. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, so you don't think I'm gonna do it? I
don't think you're gonna do it, but go ahead.
If I'm telling you I'm doing, why are you saying? What is the evidence? Are you saying
get you to do it, Thunder, without getting you to do it, bro? You already know what the fuck I'm doing. Just keep talking.
I'm a distraction, bro. I'm just doing my job.
No problem. So when we have different black candidates, and we got black people say, "Oh, we want black people. We want black people." And then when you got black people right there in your face that you could easily vote for, y'all niggas vote for Whitey. That damn you vote for the crackers. What's that? Spamberger.
Are we getting off topic now? Are we getting off topic now?
Relax.
Yeah, I wanted to get back to
Wait a second. Wait, let him land his plane. Let him land his plane.
I'm gonna land his plane.
Please,
Relax.
let him land.
All right. So when you got Spamberger, right, over there in Virginia, she ran against Winsome Sears.
He cannot possibly land this plane. This plane cannot.
That's fine.
This is a
Just
crash and burn.
That's why,
bro.
That's why
all y'all doing is allowing him to talk more. Just let him land his plane.
Thank you. So Winsome Sears, black woman, black in Virginia. Look up her exit poll last night. Bro, do you understand that lady got 4% of the black vote because she was a black Republican? Do you understand what that means? 96% of black people voted for the white woman. The crackers.
We didn't want that Republican bullshit.
Okay. Can I just want to interject. I just want to interject something real quick, right? Because before we just start lecturing niggas about their voting habits for the umpteenth time, this is how you know niggas don't know what they're talking about. Even the Supreme Court admits that partisanship and race are intricately intertwined. And this recent decision wasn't to say that they weren't connected. It was to say that we need that the court would need more specific intent in order to prove why race should be used in the first place. They didn't get rid of Section 2. They just narrowed the way in which Section 2 can be interpreted, bringing back the intent standard that Congress got rid of. Like, so this idea, like, so to get up here and say that, oh, it's not about race, it's about party. Even this conservative courts recognize that those two are intricately connected. Even this conservative court recognized. That's why I know you couldn't have read the decision, because they didn't say that race should not be used. They said if race is to be used, specific intent to discriminate has to be proven. Specific intent to discriminate has to be proven. Right. This rambling about, whether like race shouldn't be, no, even the court recognizes that there are times where race should be used to shape a map. But all they did was say that it's no longer about the disparate impact.
You talking about the court.
Look, I don't. That's what I'm saying. This is what the rambling that you're doing is nonsensical. So I don't understand what point you think you're making, because you just sounded hella ignorant already. So again, before as somebody who actually read the decision,
you don't let somebody who actually read the decision. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Thunder.
You talking about people? You talking about this finish?
Yeah, bro. Like we this
you
like
let
literally
finish, just let him finish. We all gonna land our planes fast today. It's gonna be a hot runway. Pause. Just let him finish, and then somebody else can have a conversation. Thunder, but hold on. He talking in general to the chat too. It's a show, Thunder. It ain't just you.
He said me.
Yeah, bro, he's just a weirdo, bro. Like, I don't know. Like, y'all just, I don't know why y'all.
It's clear.
Yeah, it's just a weirdo. But again, though, they didn't say that there's no instances when race should be used, right? Clarence Thomas attempted to make that when as a part of the majority opinion, but Alito's opinion specifically said yes, race can be used, but only in instances of where you can show specific racial intent to discriminate, right? Or a reasonable inference of intent to discriminate is the language that was specifically used in the decision. So it's like they recognize that partisanship and race are tied to the point where there is no distinction where where one begins and the other one ends. But what's more insidious though about the decision is the fact that they are willing to say, even if disparate impact can be proven, without also proving intent, that disparate impact is what it is. That's the issue. That's the issue
crazy,
that people have.
Domo. That's what So they're essentially saying, even if we can prove through the outcomes that there is a systemic racism taking place, if you cannot prove it to be systematic through proving intent, through I'm assuming written intent, spoken intent, some sort of intent prior to the outcome, they are no longer accepting that.
Right. Sound familiar? Giuliani, yesterday, sound familiar?
I mean, but stop and frisk was clearly systemic. But according to what I'm hearing, they're saying no. Giuliani would have had to set out his goddamn mouth or written on a piece of paper. Like he would have had to said prior to the outcomes.
Exactly.
This is but that's stupid. That's evil.
But the reason why Congress got rid of the intent standard was because they recognized that discrimination post civil rights. They knew that intent can be hidden under all other type of language, right? So that's why when they use language like a racial dog whistle, it's referencing language that is meant to be racial, but it's specifically not explicitly racial, right? Urban is a
worded very carefully and covertly and passive aggressively. Right.
Exactly. So what the court has justified covert discrimination, covert racism. As long as you could do it in the way where you ain't saying I'm being racist, which we've known for years, that's how they move, right? But that's why they changed it in the 80s. They recognized that in the 80s. You feel me? So so when we hear people talk about this decision and just haphazardly saying, "Oh, you can't use race, you couldn't have read the decision if that's the point that you're taking away from this whole shit." I'll leave it there though.
No, I think that's kind of where we was at before. We brought up earlier Domo Griggs versus. They're very aware that they were hiding this racism behind. Well, in order to work at this power company, we got to do IQ tests and high school diploma requirements. So that's why the outcome, whenever you discuss intent, you have to discuss outcome, because I don't give a fuck what your intent is. If your intent, it seems to be harmless, but it's your outcome is like Brother Reggie said, is disparately impacting a specific group, that has to be addressed. And it has to be changed. And in that particular case, Thunder, we would be striving for a more perfect union. We would be trying to get our government to uphold justice, like Logic was bringing up. It's not just all one thing in one direction or the other. It's not all black. It's not all white. It has to, at some point, begin to try to at least reach a perfect union. At least try to be a perfect union. You can't get to perfect, but damn, like when you were talking about
the key word is more perfect, not
right, a more perfect union. But I'm glad you actually spoke up, because Thunder, when you keep saying about them redrawing these maps, you agreed with us last week about cracking and packing. You agreed with it. You agreed with that.
Corey introduced that term. I never heard that terminology.
Right, but you agreed. Once we explained it to you, what it was, you agreed like, yeah. When you crack and pack in that way, it's supposed to be simple enough for even I'm not speaking about you in this reference, but sometimes in these arguments, you got to find a racist, or you got to find a blackologist, or whatever you want to do on both sides of the argument. You're a liberal or a progressive or a conservative. You got to find simple ass terms to make difficult shit make sense. If you're going to crack and pack, if you're going to split a concentrated black population, and you're going to take that 50%, 55% in a district, and then you split that shit up into 4 districts, where now that 55% is just 12% in 5 different districts, then you've literally diluted their power. That's the cracking. The beauty. Hold on.
They can't represent themselves now. They represented by so they representative. Even it's not necessary. Well, it's got to do with the voting, right? But also, it's got to do a lot with your representatives. You see what I'm saying?
Because now if I live in a 50% black section or whatever, division or whatever, then I should be represented by somebody who's from that that section or whatever. You know what I mean? And so now when you draw two lines in that section, now you diluted that. Now the representatives that actually get nominated and then voted in, right? Those representatives don't represent that constituency that was diluted. So now we can't even represent ourselves now.
You are representing yourself.
Memphis is a perfect example of this, though. Memphis is a perfect example of this. So like the reason why
of black people voted for spam burger. You voted for.
We're talking about our representatives.
But if you look at what's happening in Memphis, right? The reason why
go ahead.
The reason why majority minority districts exist is because you have a particular population, right? Like so that if you have, I think the threshold for a minority group to elect a candidate that kind of represents them or represents that area is like 56%, right? So if you have a concentrated black area like somewhere like Memphis, when you break that up, you are now making that concentrated area a minority in each district that you then add them to. So the political influence of that concentrated group is diminished because they are now split up into all these different areas. And even when you look at Packing, you would look at that like a majority minority district, but they draw the maps in such weird ways that they end up cutting out black power to be able to, or black influence to be able to impact the rest of the state. You know what I mean? And it's and to be for real, like this isn't a secret, right? Like if you go back to 2016 when the NAACP was suing North Carolina, and the federal court said that they targeted black voters with almost surgical precision. Like when you literally have the government getting this going and collecting racial voting data and then creating laws based on racial voting data, creating maps based on racial voting data, and then saying, oh, we're doing it because we want to give Republicans an advantage, right? When you say that, well, if you're just doing it for Republicans, then you're giving discrimination cover. You're giving disenfranchisement cover. As long as you can say you're doing it to give conservatives an advantage, when you know that that's going to uniquely disenfranchise black voters, it's like we're making excuses for that shit. It's in the news now, but we've been doing this since 2013, though.
They did it to this district. I live in the second district. I live in the second district of Indiana, right?
And then we'll go to you sometime.
And my district was blue for most of my life, right? But when Jackie Walorski come in, right, they did the gerrymandering where now my district is red. It used to be like 4 blue districts in Indiana, and now it's only 1. And really the crazy part is like the one blue district is East Chicago, Indiana. That's the one place where they know they wouldn't be able to. I mean, you can't really dice the lines up. They done diced the lines up so crazy there, it ain't even funny. But yeah, my district, the second district, used to be a blue district, but Jackie Walorski, thank goodness the car ran her motherfucking ass over, right?
Hey,
but the guy that replaced her ain't nothing but a fucking puppet for Donald Trump anyway. And Mike Braun, my governor, Mike Braun, it was a fucking.
Shouts to them. Come on, Corey. You gotta live there, damn it.
No, Mike Braun's a fucking Klansman, literally.
Okay. I'm here, brother. I just trying to protect.
And he got more. And when you're talking about power in Indiana, nobody in Indiana has more power than Mike Braun, Governor Mike Braun.
That's your opinion on Braun.
Nobody in Indiana has more power.
That's your opinion on Braun. It's all good.
I gotta listen. I live in Indiana, and he's my governor. So it's not my opinion. I'm stating facts here.
No, I know it's a fact.
Yeah.
I'm just okay. It's another reason why we saying opinion. Nobody's saying you're not saying a fact. It's not to dilute what you're saying either. It's just YouTube protections for your channel.
YouTube is
yeah. I know it's a clinker. It's the
it's my
clinker.
opinion that he's a Klansman, but everybody in
clinker.
Indiana knows for sure.
Yeah, it's the clinker. We got to address the clinker sometimes. It's something.
Right,
It's some
right.
child.
Thank you, Brother Brass. And also, Brass, thanks for the answer on the 2/3 question that I had asked. That was very
No
good.
problem,
Thank you.
brother.
I'd like to hear you or Brother Domo, whoever can answer. I just want clarity based on what Brass and Reggie were saying earlier regarding intention and disparate outcomes. It seems to me that you guys were saying that we don't need to prove intention anymore. What we need to prove is disparate outcome. And then I'm hearing Domo comes in and says that this new, I think he was referring to the voting rights decision, it justifies covert racism, in which case he's saying that disparate outcomes doesn't really matter. Am I getting that correct?
In this particular case, if you can present race in front of the Supreme Court, but you cannot present it as the main reason for whatever the hell it is that you're talking about. And so in Louisiana Callias, the issue was, even though they were instructed by a lower court based on their 1/3 population of black people to create another black district, essentially, you cannot then go and create it specifically as the main reason for it being black. You can't use the main reason as race. So the Supreme Court, in how they struck it down, was they basically stated you only created this for black people, and you didn't bring up. Well, I know they brought it up. I read some of it, but they brought up the socioeconomic, the travel, the lack of voting, polling stations, all of that stuff. But their main reason for creating this other district was specifically the way they presented their case was black. And that's why it got struck down 63. Like I said, they threw Thomas and the other 5 alley-oop by focusing so much on race.
The way I understand it, yeah. And the way I understand now, you a little more formally educated. Well, totally formally more educated than me. So,
no, but go ahead.
My question is, am I interpreting? Because I don't, me, I gotta put it on the front porch. I can't keep with the legal language. So when I'm hearing the decision, right? Basically, what I'm hearing the Supreme Court say is, right? So I hit Brass's car, right? And I don't want to pay Brass, so we end up going all the way to the Supreme Court, right? And the Supreme Court looks at Brass and says, I hear what you're saying, but we don't like to talk about cars in the Supreme Court. In the Supreme Court, we don't believe in cars. You know what I'm saying? So
the color of the car don't matter.
So now they saying car insurance, right, is unconstitutional because they don't want to recognize cars and the thing. Yeah, fine, I damaged it and whatever, but whatever. But we don't want to talk about cars in the Supreme Court. That's basically how I'm hearing it, Brian.
No, it's just
car and I hit the motherfucker,
maybe
but they don't like talking about cars.
Explain it a little different. But I just know based on what I read in the history with the Supreme Court and Justice Thomas and Justice Brown's Ketanji Brown's opinions after the way that they stated, that's why. And the reason why I could say this about race is because then you got Justice Thomas after saying, well, we need to go further than this. Like, not only do we need to do this, because you can present race in it, it can't be the main part. What Justice Thomas wants and going further is, I don't think we should be talking about race at all. I don't think race should ever be in any of these situations where we're talking about redistricting or anything. Any cases that come before us shouldn't have race in it. And now that's where Ketanji Brown comes in and states, the fact that we're going to ignore the inequality and how it is specifically harming a race of people. She said black, but in a race of people,
the fact that we are up here acting like there's not inequality baked into the system already, and acting like everything is utopic, that
we're in a
we're actually
post-racial
letting the
America,
country
bro.
down. Right.
We're in a post-racial America. You know what I'm saying? We
No, I
elected
don't know what you're
Obama.
saying. I ain't agreeing to nothing,
Yeah.
so I looked up because you crazy.
We in a post-racial America. We elected Obama overwhelmingly twice. Racism is that's a wrap, bro. You can't keep using
Okay,
race.
Thunder, wait, hold on. I wanted to ask you
Wait.
this question.
Y'all ran over. Hold on. Y'all ran over what that nigga just said.
I heard
Hold
it.
on. Hold on. I know your black ass did not just say that we are done with racism in America. And wait, and then followed it by saying we elected Obama twice, and now we done with that shit.
We done with it, bro. We can't. You can't keep using race. You can't keep using race when you get ready, bro. We elected that nigga twice, and that means that we
that nigga. Why is he that nigga?
I mean, wait. What you just done, Thunder? Hold on, Truist. What you just done, Thunder?
Twice.
Hold on, Thunder. You just evoked, and I need you to mute your mic. You just invoked the Martin Luther King stupid law. So there's a law. Wait. You didn't know that we passed this law. There's a law in here because of that Martin Luther King shit you said a while ago, that when you get too far down the street, Stupees gets to interrupt you and take about 2-3 minutes and cuss your black ass out. And I mean,
bro, you can't put. You're not going to put Barack Obama with Martin Luther King. I'm not going to allow you
just
to do
giving
that.
Stupees more information. Stupees,
No,
are
you're
you
not going to do that.
And I go to alley-oop to you, Stupees. I need you to cuss his black ass out.
Wait, Martin Luther King with Barack.
I can most certainly conflate Martin Luther King with Barack Obama. Are you crazy?
You
can't Here's a new rule. Proposed rule. All right. Thunder.
What you got?
Cannot talk about no racism when you use racist words. What's the
racist word I use?
Stupees, you let me down, bro.
When you yourself is using racial terms.
What's a racial term I use?
Nigga. You call Barack Obama a nigga?
That's a term of endearment,
No,
Reggie.
it's not. No, it's
That's
not.
not racial. That's a term of endearment. You know what I'm saying? You so old school, bro. That don't even work no more.
Hey, can I
go call your daddy a nigga then, and let me see what happens.
I heard the love.
That's a term of endearment.
Wait. We'll see what happens to you when you go home and say that to your daddy.
Are you ready, Stu? Come on, Stupees. Are you ready, brother? You got to be ready for this one. I need somebody. He cannot say what he just said and get away with it. I don't have the ability to cuss him out for this. You just said racism is over in America because we elected Obama twice. Somebody got to cuss you out before we move on. You are not getting away with that.
I got 3 words for Thunder. Thunder. Bless your heart.
We live in a post-racial America. We do not no longer. We no longer.
Stupees don't know what to do.
We no longer look at race as the determining factor for who we prefer and not prefer. Right? White people overwhelmingly. White people overwhelmingly voted for Barack Obama. White people.
No, you just can't say it without proving it.
For Byron Donalds, white people overwhelmingly voted for Wesley Hunt. White people overwhelmingly voted for what's that lawyer? What's a lawyer name that got kicked out of Congress? What's her name? What's the girl name? Jasmine Crockett. White people overwhelmingly voted for Jasmine Crockett. White people overwhelmingly voted for every nigga in Congress. Every nigga in Congress. White people voted
Reggie, can you please cuss this nigga out? Because somebody cuss this nigga out.
Thunder.
I won't curse him
Hold
out
on.
because
I want to show him something. So, about 20 minutes ago, I ain't want to cut y'all off. You made a comment about DEI, and I'm assuming you're going to apply that also to affirmative action. Somehow, this hurt white people, right?
Oh,
this
no,
was a
I
claim.
wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying that.
What was your claim about DEI and white people?
No, I was saying that getting rid of those sort of things is what. I think I was talking about the 2/3 when he was talking about 2/3 and all that shit. When Sunchild first came up and said
it
something.
was unfair. You said something along the line. It was unfair to white people.
3/5.
Yeah, I think.
But you mentioned
Here we go with
DEI.
3/5.
You mentioned DEI though.
I mentioned DEI, but I'm not sure in what reference. I can't. I'm not saying you're
what
wrong.
is your
but I can't
position
remember.
on DEI and affirmative action? Let's do that.
DEI and affirmative action is racist. It is anti. It is choosing one side. Oh, that's what it was. It was about the scales, right? I was talking about equality. So I was talking about justice versus equality. So justice for Black people at this point is inequality. They want inequality, and that's justice. So I was saying that DEI, when you apply DEI, that could be considered unjust to certain peoples, to certain groups. But certain people can use DEI as justice for certain groups. That's what I was just saying. How
No problem. I got you. That's exactly what I thought you said. So when it comes to both DEI and affirmative action, do you understand that white wealth and white employment increased regardless of these initiatives and policy? Do you realize it did nothing? Neither of those did nothing to stunt white employment or white wealth building. Do you understand that?
Racial. I'm not making it racial. I said
You
inequality.
just did. You just said it was unequal to other racial groups.
So I said from equality, from an equality standpoint and justice standpoint, some people can look at certain initiatives like, and I use the example of Black Airlines.
Some people can look at the fucking sky and say it's green. But I mean, what does that mean?
I'm asking you, where is the data that supports that speculation? Because the data.
You want to talk? Listen. So I said I use the example of the airlines. How the airlines say, "Hey, it's only 2 or 3% of Black pilots." We want to get an initiative where it go from 2 to 3% to 50%, right? So they say, "Okay, we're going to hold on, Truist, damn." I said, so they say we're going to hire.
They ain't never said they wanted to be 50%. They ain't never said that.
I'm going to. Who ain't said that?
They said they wanted the pilots to be 50% Black people.
I think it was either 44. Hold on, let me be more clear.
Let's be clear.
But I don't know the exact percentage, but it was closer to 50. If it wasn't 50, it was a Pacific airline that said that, and he still stands by that to this day. Right now,
I thought you said that. Okay, I thought you were talking about air pilots, period. So you talking about one specific?
No, it's a particular airline, right? Okay, so this particular airline was trying to get more diverse pilots. It was only 3% of Black pilots, and they wanted to get it.
They know because businessmen, right? They understand the benefits of that. But go ahead, keep going. It's a business decision.
My point,
it was a business decision. It wasn't it
problem.
Wasn't a
but
racist
that business decision can be considered racist. Or even just say racist. Some people could consider that racist. Some people consider that justice. That's all I was saying. I'm not.
Well, give me a study on
what I'm saying is I've heard all these arguments
on that being racist.
That's what I'm saying. I've heard all these speculative arguments. I'm saying, where's the data that shows that white employment in any field dropped? Because Black employment has show me
Wait a second,
That's
because I
not
listened to you. I listened to you, bro.
Well, that's definitely the point.
The
You
argument
saying
is
it's
not.
an injury being had. You saying it's some type of injury, and we want to see what the injury is you talking about.
I don't say that white employment dropped. That's not the argument.
No, you're
Well,
some
it is
people
the
can see.
argument.
You saying some people can see an injury here is what you're saying, and I want to see what the fuck the some people looking at. So tell me what they looking at. Go ahead.
Hold on, more black pilots. What they call? Not pilots. What they call?
No.
Yeah,
Thunder. Listen. You're saying some people could point to an injury, right?
No.
I want to know where they're pointing their finger at. Where are they pointing to?
Let me get this first, and then we'll go. I got you. So while only 3% of 3.5, that's where I got it from. While only 3.5% of commercial airline pilots were black as of 2021, United, that's who it was, has been actively mentoring and recruiting to shift this demographic. United Airlines has made significant public efforts to increase diversity in its cockpit, aiming to train 5,000 new pilots by 2030 through its quote-unquote United Aviate Academy, with the goal of at least 50% being women or people of color. That's what I was saying.
5,000 new. Out of the 5,000 new pilots,
How
right?
did it hurt white employment in United?
No,
Airlines?
because he misinterpreted it. He misinterpreted what he
I know
read.
he did. I know he did. That's why I'm asking that question.
Out of the 5,000 new pilots, they want half of them to be women and people of color. Okay? They don't want the whole fucking American Airlines to be 50% niggas. That's not what they saying there, Thunder. Do you understand that? Okay.
No problem.
So don't be misleading. Don't be misleading with the data.
If this is what I'm saying. Through affirmative action, through DEI, white employment, white wealth building, white home ownership, white wealth in general has not been affected. It's actually continued to grow. And the wealth gap has not closed.
That is not an argument that anybody's making. You are making that shit up.
So what is the problem? So then what is the issue?
No, let's start with that. Do you understand that is not the argument?
No.
Yeah, but
I don't understand that's not the argument.
What you are escaping is that you have never showed harm to white people.
Right.
You've not done that in any.
Do you understand that that's not the argument?
Oh, wait. Thunder, you have not shown how this has harmed white people.
That has never been an argument that anybody has made, Reginald.
Yes, good brother Thunder. It has been because your arguments verge on
Thunder, you promised to answer my question though, real quick.
Yeah,
Reggie, I apologize.
No, but
you made me a promise. You said that you would show me, because you said again, some people could point to an injury, is what you said. Now I want to know where these some people are pointing at. What's the injury that they're pointing to?
That's my same question. So thank you.
You heard me say the word injury, Corey.
No. I'm reiterating it to let you understand that I understand what you're saying.
Oh no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that white people were
What are you
injured.
saying? No. What are you saying?
What
Some
about
people.
black people being injured?
Hold on, Reggie, because he said some people could point to something. Now, what is these some people pointing to? Go ahead.
Oh, you're talking about the practice of the. So I was saying that certain people can interpret when you say I want to go from 3% black pilots, or in this case, let's just say people of color, right? 3.5% people
Women
of
and people
color.
of color. Women and people of color is what the
Women and people of color.
papers.
So when you got that 3.5, and they say they want to shoot that up to 50, at least 50, right? In 3 more years.
We just went over the fact that they didn't say that though.
We got that, right? We done. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Why you trying to cover something that we just covered?
No, I understand. And you saying again, Thunder. We got to walk slow. I guess we got to walk slow. You said some people could point to something, right? And then now this is before you brought up the 50% shit, right? You said some people could look at things and point to something ill or what. I don't know what you said. I'm gonna say an injury, right? There's some wrongdoing that some people could point to, and I want to know, where are they pointing? What direction are they pointing to?
Well, Corey, he said interpreted, and interpreted is not
is that what he said? And they can interpret.
That's why I said it.
Because you misinterpreted. You to some people that you're talking about,
it's
right?
speculative.
Because you misinterpreted the data there. Because some people could say what you said, right? But those some people would be absolutely wrong. We determine that, and you determine that. Are we correct? Are we walking together so far?
No, I'm not. Am I incorrect in what I said? Yes, but the gist is still the same. So you're saying, what they're saying is they want more women and they want more people of color, right? So what the antithesis that is,
because it makes their business run better.
Hold on, man. The people of non-color and men, right? So the men and people of non-color can say, hey,
they're hiring 5,000. They're hiring 5,000 more motherfuckers. Half of them gonna be white men, and half of them ain't gonna be all black people or all women. Half of them gonna be people of color and women. You see what I'm saying? So white men still got the overwhelming vast majority of the opportunity there. Can you do that math and walk with me there?
They have a large amount of opportunity, yes.
They have the vast majority.
Corey, before you move past that,
we're not gonna let him do this. We're not gonna let him do this.
Corey.
They have the vast majority of the opportunity there. Ain't we agreeing there, Thunder?
Yeah, it's 50%.
Corey.
No, because he's trying to fuck me here.
I know.
They have 50% of the opportunity.
It's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Think about this. It's 50% is white men, right?
Yes.
And then among the 50%, the other 50% that's not white men, a large portion of that is white women.
Women. Yes.
So if you want to say that, like the total group of white employment is over 50%. When you factor in the white women,
even when you separate that, when you put the white men there, they still have the overwhelming vast majority of the opportunity, because the women and people of color have to share the other 50%. You understand that, right?
Yes. They have to share it with white women. They have to share it with white homosexuals. All the other white minority fucking groups. On top of the white male,
still have the overwhelming vast majority of the opportunity. So some people, when you're saying some people could interpret those some people, like we just interpret that you did, right? Because you some of the people, because you just included yourself on that. You some of the people are wrong with your interpretation. So because some people can look at something incorrectly, what are we supposed to do about that? What am I supposed to do about that? We're supposed to get rid of the Voting Rights Act because you and a bunch of white motherfuckers don't know how to read the data.
But the harm goes to black people.
Where you at, Thunder? Where you at? You and a bunch of white boys
is misinterpreting the data, so we supposed to get rid of the Voting Rights Act. That's what you're telling me?
I like the way you putting that, bro.
That's what you just explained to me. That's exactly what you just explained to me.
Why are you painting me with a white man? Pause. Why you doing
You
that?
You
is
said
the only
we,
two.
nigga. Wait a second, nigga. You said
Go ahead.
we. At the beginning of the conversation, you said
You
we.
just get rid of it and misinterpret it.
You
The only people that's misinterpreting it is you and
at the beginning of the conversation, you said we started in Louisiana, we covered in Georgia, we gonna take this shit back.
Your black ass
didn't say, that true, is
the
terrible.
conversation.
If he said that true, that is terrible.
Yes, you said that
No,
shit.
Corey. Hold on, Truist. I'm trying to stay out of it. I'm on mute doing. I left the chat to do other shit. But I know you did not just say, why did he class you with white people? And your black ass been saying we for the past 3 hours.
Why are you calling me when you
Wait, Brash, and he got a lecture on how white people love each other and black people don't.
Hey, Corey, you don't even know nothing about the show next week, where this nigga is about to prove that white people love each other and black people hate each other at the same time. He gonna try to do this on YouTube. Can't wait. I just ordered the popcorn for next fucking week.
Oh shit! I might take some time off. Is it during work
And
hours?
what was the thing you brought up today? He brought up some new shit today. He brought up some new shit. The new shit you said today. It's gonna be the next show. What was the next shit? You said something else. Why the fuck today? What'd you say? What was the new line?
I'm taking the day off. I will take the day off for that show.
He just had a better one today, bro. He just said some crazy shit today. I forgot what it was, but I was like, you should do that show next too.
No,
he
Corey,
just
you don't
a
have to take the day
a
off.
bucket full of comments.
No, it's the after show.
Corey don't.
Corey, it's the after show. We're gonna have an after show.
Yeah,
on
we're
that
gonna have a
shit.
good after show on that. Thunder,
No,
I
you're
can't
not.
wait. I
No,
can't
you're
wait.
not. Listen, Corey, don't you waste a vacation day or any sick time because Thunder is not gonna do that damn show. He is selling wolf tickets. He is
Bro,
not
do y'all wait?
crazy
Is
enough to do that
contrarian?
shit.
Hey, we gotta put contrarian. Yo, we putting your black ass on the docket right now. So this joker in the chat right now. Y'all read the chat. Him and Tony is having a good conversation in the chat. And I go to 320 in the general chat. Tony Lightwork says, but not you or the majority of black folks. They all bouncing the ball down the white man's court. And contrarian, the great thinker, his response is, it's the white man's country. Oh man, I'm sick of y'all, bro. I'm sick. Y'all disrespecting my people's history at this point.
You know, you don't hear this outside of YouTube, so it ain't.
Yeah, they might be disrespecting my people's history, bro. I'm getting irritated now. This nigga,
I mean, Thunder's the most egregious though. We got the biggest.
No, Thunder is egregious, no question.
No, he's not the only one. Thunder's not the only one. On the other chats, there's people like Lord Abba, Misunderstood. It's Yara. They don't come over here, right? But they all converge in the same type of thinking, right? I like that term, bouncing the ball during the white bouncing the ball on the white man's court, right? Down the white man's court, because they're not really trying to make a level playing field. They're really not. What they're trying to do is trying to find legal loopholes, right, to stop to keep it status quo. And there has to be an answer for that. So what I had said earlier on when I came on and messed up the show was that, okay, fine, you said that, and Brass said that it's beautiful in the sense that Well, now we know clearly where the battle is, right? So I go back to Ogletree to say it's harm-based. Thunder cannot show harm to white folks, right? He cannot. Now, in this particular case, you can't hide under Republican Democrat. No, you can't do that now. Now you're where you really are, right? Bouncing the ball down the white man's court. You're trying to not leverage the playing field. You're trying to keep the status quo. Why? Because white people love white people and black people hate black people, right? That's where you are. You showed your true intentions, your true understanding, and you messed up, Thunder, because you put in
Reggie. That's why I took the conversation there, because there's no like that's why I took it there, because you cannot prove how DEI or affirmative action affected white employment or white wealth. You can't prove that shit. All that shit is speculation, because despite DEI and affirmative action, white wealth and employment increase in spite of it.
You're the man. You just how can I say you put a Iran what do you call it? An Iran drone to the shit, right? A swarm, right? That's what you did. You asymmetric warfare. You put
an Iran drone to the shit.
Yeah, bust that shit up, right? Yo, you brought like you defended the Strait of Hormuz, right? Against America's freedom. What do they call it? The freedom what? Whatever the freedom action that they was doing, you bust that shit up. Thunder, what's your response?
White is right.
White is right.
White is right. That's Thunder.
That's my
white is right and black is wrong.
The response is the NBA. The NBA has racial disparity against white people. That's the stupid shit.
Yeah,
I have to hear these arguments.
We got to get more Jake LaRavia and less Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. We need more Jake LaRavia.
More Cooper Flags.
Yeah, up with Cooper Flags, down with their Dylan Harper.
How many black people play in the NHL?
You see?
I don't watch that shit. When the last NHL? Hold on. Don't tell me you watch hockey, because now I'm gonna say you ain't black at all. You watch hockey, bro?
I watch NASCAR. I go to NASCAR events.
Well, my father likes NASCAR. That's a Southern thing. That's a speed thing. There's some racist motherfuckers too, though. Don't go to the track though. They'll let you know.
I go to every Atlanta track.
No, they won't let you know. I just can't go with you unless you make me your +1, Paul. So
which thing they gonna do, man?
He's one of the good ones. I'd have to wear a T-shirt that says he's one of the good ones if I go with you to NASCAR.
Which one they gonna lynch you?
No. I'm afraid when they start lynching me, your black ass ain't gonna be nowhere to be seen. That's what I'm concerned about. You're gonna be talking about intent and outcomes. They're not trying to lynch you. It's not racial, brass. They got a noose around my neck, Thunder. This ain't racial, bro. It's cleansing. It ain't ethnic. It's just cleansing. Right, you said something stupid.
Let him help you.
White people ain't as bad as y'all think, bro.
What did you just say?
White people ain't as bad as y'all think.
They ain't as good as you think.
I agree. They not as bad as we think. They're
not as good as they not as great as we think.
No. White people ain't as bad as we think. Thunder is that fucking bad. But we keep blaming the white man for. We need to start looking at Thunder crazy ass. It ain't the white man. It's niggas like Thunder.
The white people are saints compared to your black guy.
White people held hands with Martin Luther King and marched. This nigga on the opposite side saying, "Man, this nigga crazy."
Hey, you might have a point.
Hey, what you saying about the rabbit dog yesterday?
Oh God, hey bro, I've been trying to convince Chef to do the show. He might need to see your show in order to do that rabbit dog syndrome show.
Hey, Reggie, I keep telling Chef to do this. Reggie, are you aware of the rabbit dog syndrome, bro? Have you ever heard of the rabbit dog syndrome? Chef, brilliant ass, introduced the rabbit dog syndrome into the lexicon. And I'm going to make sure that shit ends up in a paper and peer reviewed so we can get that shit on the docket. The rabbit dog syndrome.
That nigga went in yesterday, bro. Pause.
Crazy.
Clarence Thomas suffered from rabbit dog syndrome. Clarence Thomas got it.
Yeah, wait till Reggie responds. I want you to explain that shit to him.
Clarence Thomas, rabbit dog is a motherfucker.
Rabbit dog ass nigga. Oh God.
When white
there was
people
a crazy
like,
pause.
Calm down.
There was a crazy
on the
pause.
Supreme Court.
Chef, could I get an
on the
explanation on rabbit dog syndrome? I missed that. I would really like to know what that is.
Clarence Thomas, yo. Clarence Thomas, yo. When you gotta pull a nigga off another nigga, yo.
Hey, Howard. That nigga said, you know how white people train junkyard dogs at the junkyard? And they train them to keep motherfuckers out the junkyard. That's essentially what they do. They put dog here and shit, beware of dog sign and all of that. And the thing is, they didn't train them like to just bark and try to kill every goddamn body. But everybody that walked past the motherfucker, the owner of the lot gotta keep saying, chill out, bro. Like they're just walking past. That's a kid. They ain't really doing nothing. He's saying that that's what white people got to do to Thunder. That Thunder is now defending white people at a level that they won't even defend themselves. Like they already know that the voting rights shit is bullshit, but his black ass is running around here saying that it's good and it's okay. They love Obama. White people love Obama and Martin Luther King like 40 going south.
Lord.
Thunder black ass is the one that's gonna run up. White people know racism exists. Thunder, because he think that white people want to hear this shit, or this is where white people was 10 years ago, 30 years ago. He's saying racism don't exist. So what he's saying is that he more of a rabid, uncontrolled dog because he been trained to be. He don't have the discernment though. He don't have the discernment of the white person. Like now, wait. So
he's
now,
just wild. He's just a wild motherfucker.
No, but here it is. No, it's even better than that. A white person will just step back and not say nothing. It's the niggas we gotta worry about. They gonna let him do all the work. They gonna let him say all that shit about Obama and all that shit about Martin Luther King and ain't no more racism and you niggas, because this was his exact words. You niggas got rid of racism when y'all elected Obama twice. That was his words out of it.
Who said that? Wait, who said that? Thunder?
Thunder said that shit 30 minutes ago. White people don't even talk like this. So he is affected. He is the outbreak monkey. And I mean that literally. The outbreak monkey for rabbit dog syndrome.
You live in a post-racial America, bro. Hey, how? We live in a post-racial America, man.
Did you think about?
No, I don't think we do, sir.
Post-racial America.
I don't think we do, sir.
If you didn't have a gun, I'd come find you, Thunder. I promise.
Hey, Brad, I used to call people like that nigger pets. But I guess
nigger pets.
I used to call them nigger pets. Like,
what
but
fuck is that?
That's the same thing as the rabbit dog. So they nigger pet.
Said a nigger pet.
Nigger pet.
Yeah, and you know what's funny?
It definitely sounds like it's the same thing as rabbit dog.
It sounds like it's a simplified form of rabbit dog.
Yeah, that's
a nigger pet.
Chef shit is better, if you.
That's the street term for it.
Yeah, the scientific term is rabbit dog
medical terminology.
But the street term is, he a nigger pet. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
He's harmless. He's a nigger pet. Just don't pet him. Don't pet him. Don't pet him. You'll catch that.
Sure,
shit, but
chicken pox ain't really technically. Is that the technical name? Chicken pox. I'm sure it's got a different name for it, right? So it's like the same shit.
Nucleosis or some crazy shit. But we just gonna call it chicken pox. You know what I mean?
Right.
Regular chicken
That's
pox.
that's basically what a nigga pet is, you know.
A goddamn nigga pet is hilarious. No, Thunder, you're a wild nigga, bro. You're a wild nigga. You definitely fought with the North, though. Or the South. No, you fought with the South in the Civil War. You definitely was on the plantation saying, what's better than this?
I have to believe Thunder be playing game.
No, he dead fucking serious, bro. He
said something yesterday to let me know, like, no, he got to be serious. Like yesterday, I can't remember what it was, but I said to myself, I said, you know what? No, he's serious. He ain't playing. He ain't playing.
Yeah, he dead
What
serious.
happened to Thunder? Thunder, defend yourself.
He can't. If he was in another room in another Discord, if he was in a different Discord, the Aryan one, if he was in that Discord, they'd be loving this shit he's saying right now. All we could do, bro, I can no longer put serious arguments in front of Thunder. It could only be a roast.
Playing, man. They done let. You can't tell me they done let his ass off the chain. The nigga pet on the porch up there. They done let his ass off the chain, and he was wild.
They keep telling that nigga, calm down, bro. It ain't that serious, bro. It ain't that serious. He like, no,
they don't know he got out the backyard. They don't even know. He out
Yeah,
the
they don't
backyard.
even know. They just he out the gate and went crazy on niggas now.
He done out the gate and barking.
Yeah, he done
swiped at every nigga leg that come through, huh?
You gotta make sure niggas know that this shit is equal. God damn it, we live in an equal society.
Yeah, post-racial America, bro.
Post-racial America. That's what you said. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I think the
why all
wild
this
part is why even
gerrymandering
white
going on,
folks say
Thunder?
we were aiming for that. Like that's what we aiming for. Even white folks.
No, he
that's
said
they
we
state.
here.
Yeah,
here.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But a white man, you can pull a random white guy off the street, right? And he'll tell you like, yeah, that's what we aiming for.
Thunder would say, it's slapping shit out
No,
there.
we here.
Don't you know we here?
They come to pass. They come to pass.
Thunder, you gotta say something, Thunder, because
fuck being there. I'm just saying we 3 miles past that shit. Y'all niggas need to slow the fuck down. Y'all,
Hey, Thunder,
y'all done went 3 miles past equality.
Let me say this.
Hey, hold on. Hey, Corey. Remember it was like a story like a couple years back where like they thought it was like some black people in Mississippi. I think it was Mississippi that they thought nobody told them that slavery had ended and shit. Like they're still like essentially just there was like an urban legend that they just like walking around like, man, what the fuck? And they didn't realize this shit because niggas kept them away. Thunder is the nigga that'll be like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Let me take you back.
Right.
Let me take you back. Let me take you back there, bro.
Follow me. I'm gonna take you back to the safety.
Follow me.
I'm gonna take you back to safety.
Safety. You know,
I'm gonna take you back to safety is wild.
I'm gonna take you back. The nigga is the he the anti Harriet Tubman. That nigga said, hey, follow me back to slavery.
I think that was a real case either in the 40s or the 50s.
It was.
Yeah.
No, I had heard that. I didn't know
real
it was urban legend or not. I know I had heard that though.
And the dude,
there was one recently in Texas.
A federal agent actually stumbled upon it, and when he went back to try to verify it, the white dude had choked all of the black.
That's crazy.
To cover the shit up. Yep.
Hey, I think they had one recently in Texas, man, where they had someone that was been working and didn't know slavery was over.
Chill out, Howard. You know Thunder writing this shit down. Chill out, Thunder. Chill out, chill out,
y'all,
brother. Hey, let these people be free.
y'all must be lost. Y'all over here in freedom land.
Oh my God. Every time you talk, it gets worse.
Hey, let me call that man over here. Let me call Master Jim.
Damn. They still make you call him Master?
Master Jim.
Damn.
Well, hell, they can't let them know they out of the 1800s.
I slapped the dog shit out of Corey. That nigga fuck around and say Jim one time, he'll slap the dog shit out of You better
Master
put a
Jim.
handle on that goddamn name, boy. You better put a handle on that name.
You got the gun line out there, goddamn it. You go past,
Oh,
don't
no.
you go
Hey,
past
did you
that
see where he
motherfucking gun
called,
line, motherfucker.
Hey, did you see where he called did you see where he called them Hoppin' Bob, bro, yesterday? Chef called him Hoppin' Bob. When in life with that guy with the gun, where they cracking the rocks, that nigga said, see, you don't want me to come down there. I ain't like boss.
Ain't nice like boss.
Corey.
I ain't nice like boss.
Corey, I'll tell you what.
That's Thunder all the way.
He said, I'll slap the off your
Corey.
That's Thunder all the way.
Thunder's
Oh,
a
shit.
slippery dude, man.
Yo, the chat is killing him, bro. That nigga they said Thunder thinks Ty Cobb is the greatest athlete ever. It said Thunder fought on the white boy's side of the race riot. This shit is crazy, bro. Hey, shouts to you, Thunder. I can't wait till we do the show. Hopefully you'll present some actual information and not all this fucking propaganda your ass.
Some people, you can't come with the some people. Nah, that's just wild, Thunder. You know you're gonna get beat up in this chat. Like you can go to other people's place and do that bullshit, but you know in this chat they ain't going for that.
No, we ain't going for that shit.
Corey walked Thunder down perfectly, man. Corey, man, you're skilled, man. I tell you what, bro. Corey, Thunder's slippery as hell, bro. And Corey, you kept him on track, bro. That dude is slippery, man.
You gotta let them do the framing for you. See, you always let Thunder do his own framing, and then you stick with that. You stick with the framing that he gave you. You know what I'm saying? Because he always frame it in a way that seemed like, no, I ain't saying that. You know what I'm saying? But no, just go ride with it. I promise you, at the end of the thing, when you ride it all the way down, well, hold on. I guess pause. I forgot I was on here with Coastal Elites and shit. You know what I'm saying? But when you walk all the way down the road with him, right, you'll see at the end he ain't had no clue, bro. He didn't have no clue.
That pilot thing is that Charlie Kirk used to talk about if he goes on a plane and he sees a black pilot, he starts wondering this and that.
I'm just he won't get on no plane because he can't take his time. But I'm just so happy that I woke up today and I messed up your
unplug the TV.
Chef, mute out. Yeah, unplugging that TV shit.
I am just so happy. I came on and messed up your show so that we can get this all out. This was classic. This is one of the best shows with Thunder.
100%, man. Great job. Great job.
I disagree with that. He did a terrible job. He did a terrible job. I don't think this is the best
it was
show.
wonderful. It was beautiful. It was actually beautiful because there's no comeback. We got a classic show with all of his terminology, right? and we got a whole lecture coming up next week, right? To put icing on the cake.
Are you doing a lecture, Reggie?
Thunder would be better off if he came with more authentic thoughts. The problem is he listened to them white men that's like 70 years old, and then he come with their argument. You got to know, like they only getting that off. They like when they getting those arguments off Thunder. You got to know, like they preaching to the choir. They not saying that to somebody that that's actually trying to think about what they're saying. You know what I'm saying?
They're
giving out reinforcement. So when you bring those arguments over here, like it don't even come close to even making logical sense. You know what I'm saying?
Corey, he's probably in some type of email group, Corey, some type of damn group.
Yeah, it gotta be.
You know, he in one of them motherfuckers.
And all that information is like 70-year-old white men putting those thoughts together. You know what I'm saying? So like you ain't gonna like that. It don't make sense today. It don't make sense.
You gotta give it to Truist. Truist led him into a death trap with the airlines.
What's that?
With the
Truist always.
He led him into a death
DEI?
trap. Yeah.
No, I think that helped me though. I think that helped my argument. You think they helped his argument?
Well, we found out that you you don't understand the data that you was trying to present.
Oh my God, Thunder can't comprehend that. He has
And
no
you
reason
wanted
to
us
comprehend.
to get rid of the Voting Rights Act because you and the white boys don't know what the hell y'all trying to use as an argument.
You ain't hear me say. You didn't hear me say one time to get rid of the Voting Rights Act. You just made that up.
That's the argument you saying? That's what the court said. At least
No, the court did not say that. The court did not say get rid of the Voting Rights Act.
They did. They ain't had to say it.
Hey, have you ever heard of May Louise Miller?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Might need to look that. Hey, if you want to look that up real quick, she on Wikipedia, man. Since you say that all shit is over, look her up, man. That's something. Huh?
You talking about us being in a post-racial America?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're tripping.
How long we been post-racial for? Well, all right, Thunder, I'm gonna back off your ass, Thunder, because I actually like you. I really do. I think you're a good dude. Yeah. And I'm gonna, no matter what they say, I think your ass is playing.
That was crazy. That was crazy. I'm gonna back off the ass. I know you're trolling. I know you're trolling. I just know you're trolling.
He got to be, man. He got to be trolling.
I know you don't mean none of this. You don't mean none of this.
Thunder is a card-carrying Caucasian. I don't remember what he said, Truist, yesterday, but I'm gonna tell you right now, he convinced me yesterday. I was like, oh, he ain't playing. Even if like he might be a little bit hyperbolic, but like most of this is what I would say. He believed 80% of what he be saying. Like he really that's really what he thinks. 80% at least.
Thunder believes this stuff, man.
So when we're talking about justice for justice and inequality, right? I was saying justice to me were those niggas that killed Julio Fulio to suffer the same fate. Right now, I'm serious about that. I want their head to have a death penalty, just like they gave Julio Fulio the death penalty. But some people will say, "No, they too young." Blah blah blah. That ain't justice, right? Give them a chance. So yeah, I mean, you can't do that, but that's how I really feel. I feel like that's real.
Thunder believes this stuff, man. Just like your Larry Children or any of these guys, man. There are just some people that believe this type of rhetoric, man. You know?
That's a fact.
And there's no facts behind it.
He only 20% trolling. So don't get me wrong. It's some trolling in there, but it's only like 20% trolling.
10-20%.
Yeah.
Not a lot. Y'all may think it, but no.
Listen, I'm like this with the boys who murdered those boys who murdered that Julio. I'm like this. Once you get caught up like that, I really